All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you, as always, for waiting patiently as the intro does what it does. We have a pretty packed show today, which is, crazy to think about considering what yesterday's show was. Definitely a lot to talk about. Corey, what's going on, man? New Soul 9, thanks for being here. The dude, Jay Shaco. I got to get better at trying to acknowledge people at the beginning here. IP Gaming, Toolman, Shelly, John, Byrex, Will. Thank you guys so much, and everybody else. Seriously, appreciate you guys being here so early in the show. So let me give you a rundown first and foremost of what we're going to be talking about today, so you understand the topics. I'm going to try to get better at doing this as well, just making sure everybody's aware of what we're going to be discussing. We have a update on the Ratchet & Clank sales data. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit because there seems to be some confusion with that. I'm talking about this new leaked data that pretty much reveals why Sony is not going to compete with GamePass. It's pretty interesting stuff. I'm also going to be giving an update on something we talked about. I think it was earlier this week. Sony is not banning the resell of physical and digital games. Now, this says and digital games, but specifically physical. We're talking a little bit more about this multiplayer game that Insomniac might be working on, because there's a little bit of information here that I actually wasn't privy to. I think some of you guys tried to make me aware of it yesterday, but I probably overlooked it. And then we also, at the end here, have another set of leaked data from PlayStation that tells us what is required for a PlayStation title to get a PC port, and how apparently, I think I mean, this isn't surprising, but games like Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine already have PC builds. But on top of that, it seems like the data, anyway, is indicating that Sony's sales on PC are not really on an upward trend. So, yeah, we have a lot to unpack and discuss today. And before I get into that, we have Corey, the legend Landiga, coming in, just doing heavy lifting. Dude, Corey, thank you so much for kicking off the membership train today. Guys, I was thinking about actually purchasing a train whistle, if you know what I'm talking about. It's like that kind of wooden block that when you blow into it, it pretty much just sounds like a train. You let me know if that's something I should do. But Corey, dude, thank you so much for dropping 10 membership gifts. Guys, I want to see W's.
Appreciate it.
That for our man Corey here. Always being so generous to this community. Seriously. So starting off the day strong, let me add this to the counter here. I should probably not interfere with the notification here, because I noticed it cut off the person's name. Oh, there we go. It's still going. Okay. Good stuff. So Corey, thank you for that, my friend. Shelly, yeah, I saw what you had to say about Breachers for PSVR 2. They shadow dropped it. You think I won't regret it? All right, yeah, I might look into it. I'm still playing some Resident Evil 4. My big problem is I don't know, man. I'm trying my best to get readjusted to PSVR 2. It's taken a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I'll look into it. Breachers. You're saying it's like a tactical shooter. Definitely something I could be interested in. We have Jake Skew 27 following up Corey's 10 bomb by dropping a gift of his own. Jake Skew, thank you so much, my friend, for consistently dropping some memberships for the community as well. So that brings us up to 11 guys. Just as always, got to give you a shout out. This is a good opportunity for me to just let you know how you can support me. Obviously, become a channel member if that's something you're interested in. Gain access to some exclusive perks. The biggest exclusive perk by far is the Members Lounge. We just did one yesterday. It was a good time. And it's always a good time, the Members Lounge. So if you are gifted a membership, go check that out. You will have access to that. If you are already a member, consider gifting some memberships, and also maybe consider donating a super chat. Ask a question, make a statement, give an opinion, whatever you might want to type up. New Soul 9 has done that here with a $10 super chat saying, MBG, if live service failed for Sony, how will Sony survive? pivoting to a Game Pass model because you need something to bring you consistent profits, just like Microsoft, while you are chasing this type of model. It's a great question. Honestly, New Soul 9, I think that is the $1 million question, or maybe even $1 billion question, depending. It absolutely is, because yeah, this is kind of going to be a big part of our conversation today. How when I say in my thumbnail that Sony kind of tried, I mean they actually did kind of try to. I don't want to say replicate the Game Pass model exactly, but there was a specific point in time where they seemingly were trying to push more so in that direction to test the waters and see what would happen, right? Like what would happen, what would the results be, what would the numbers be? Trying to look smarter with glasses. No, I actually do need my glasses. I need to start getting better at wearing them more often because my vision isn't that bad, but it's bad enough to where, like, sitting here and reading the chat as much as I do, and reading as much as I do for hours and hours and hours. Yesterday I had like a horrible headache. Although I don't know, maybe it wasn't from not wearing my glasses. Maybe it was from something else. It's from the damn leaks. I don't know. But no, it's not. It's not to look smarter, I assure you. But hey, if it makes me look smarter, then so be it. I'll take that. But yeah, New Soul 9. That's the question, man. Yeah, lore canon. You're already ahead of me, bro. We're that's exactly where we're headed. Um, yeah, this is what's tough for Sony right now. Is the console sales are going great. Their single player games are selling pretty well, or well enough. The big problem is the budgets are ballooning. They are not going to go into the Game Pass model for multiple reasons, which we'll get into. They are trying, I guess they're still trying to um, pursue the live service stuff. And I just want to say I don't know that Sony has given up on the live service push, to be clear. Like, I don't know that Sony's fully given up on it. I think there are clear signs that it's not going nearly as smoothly as they hoped it would. And so the change in strategy for the live service stuff might just be pump the brakes, don't sacrifice our beloved studios that are currently making us money. Like, pretty much what we have right now. Don't sacrifice that and throw that into the fire on a prayer, hoping that, well, maybe they'll make a successful live service. Instead, maybe just focus on, the specific studios you bought to make a successful live service. Like, I almost kind of think, like, I don't know, maybe Sony would do well to really try to help Bungie save the ship, right, and get them back into a better place. Because Bungie has, I mean, they've proven they can succeed in the live service landscape, but they're just not in a good place right now. So I don't know. I guess what I mean to say is I think Sony right now more than likely is in a defensive position to just make sure that they don't get overly aggressive and overextend themselves and ruin anything. But they're also in a position where it's like they can't just sit there with a shield up the entire time and just hope that, everything will be fine. They do still have to move forward and grow and figure out how they're going to do that. So yeah, that is the million or $1 billion question, New Soul 9. I hope that as we go further into this discussion, I'll be able to, I don't know, maybe we'll have a little bit of clarity. I don't know that we'll have the answers, but yeah, I agree. The leaks are totally overwhelming, man. Like, there's still stuff coming out. And I have to say something right now. I totally meant to bring this up. Yesterday, one of the first things we discussed was the leaked Wolverine gameplay. Okay? And a lot of people were telling me that they weren't really that impressed with what they saw. And the big reason for that was they were like, there needs to be more brutality. I'm not seeing any limbs flying. How come there's no dismemberment? Like, I want to make it known I was going through this footage, and this is not a spoiler. It's if anything, I think it's I think it's reassuring to fans. I speculated yesterday that there's probably not dismemberment because it's just not developed yet. Like, the code isn't there yet. It's just not part of the game. Like, they're going to work on that. Apparently it is. So I came across uh this little chunk of gameplay where Wolverine is just fighting some dudes, I guess in the woods, and he did this one move. It was like this long slash, straight up cut a dude's legs clean off. And I was like, there it is. I was like, they did it. I knew they did it. So I had to let you guys know about this because this was a big thing I was seeing yesterday where a lot of people were like, damn, it seems like they're holding back with the brutality and the violence. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not getting that vibe. And I'm happy to report to you that while I was looking over a couple of the, clips that were out there, that was something I saw specifically. And it seems to confirm that there will in fact be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. He's like stabbing people in the face like brutally. I'm like, there's no way they're not gonna have dismemberment. This gameplay is looking pretty brutal. So far, man. Again, without going into any spoiler territory, and to me, this is a more positive takeaway from this leak. Like, I know the developers are crushed right now, but I'm at least here to say that, dude, everything I've seen of Wolverine so far, no, like it is actually super impressive. Seriously, it is super impressive how good it looks right now, knowing that we are pretty much 2 years away. Yeah, we are 2 years away based on their timeline from hitting alpha. So, based off of everything I'm seeing so far, considering how early it is, it's looking pretty damn good, and I'm really hyped, man. So I hope that the developers at Insomniac don't feel too bad, and I hope that if there's any positive that they can take away from this is that, dude, you guys look like you're doing some good work over there. And I just want to say this too. I want to say this too, and I'm not going to rant about it. I'm just going to be clear about it. One of the comments I saw on my stream yesterday was somebody basically saying that Wolverine's going to be completely woke. We already know this, and we already know what to expect from your content, MBG. And it's like, listen, I definitely am not trying to encourage people to leave my channel. That's the opposite of what I want, obviously. But if you expect me to come out here and, based off of those leaks, scream woke and say that this is, SJW trash and be part of that group, you probably need to go somewhere else because that's not at all what I'm gonna do. Like I feel like I've just made myself clear. Again, I'm not diving into it. I'm just saying that if that's your prerogative and that's like you feel that intensely about it, then I'm just gonna let you know now. You should probably, there are plenty of other different channels and content creators out there, but for me, I'm very excited for Wolverine, and not a single thing from this leak, okay, from all the stuff we've learned about Wolverine, I have not come across anything, even remotely, that has made me go, uh oh. In fact, everything I've come across has made me go, oh, oh, this is shaping up nice. This is shaping up real nice. So again, I'm not saying I'm welcoming all different opinions. Okay. Like, say, have your opinion, say your piece, but there's no need to be rough about it or aggressive about it. Let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. And if you don't, then, just make it known and then move on. It doesn't have to be a big thing, especially for a game that's still multiple years away from releasing. All right. So with that out of the way, I also have to tell you guys about this. You're saying, Corey, you're saying Wolverine just looked incomplete with that leaked footage. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I just want to point this out too. I was really taking a close look at it, and I'm like, you can very much tell, like, this has no polish whatsoever, like zero polish, but it still doesn't look like horrible. I mean, it looked. I saw some footage floating around from like God of War, Uncharted, The Last of Us, like early footage. Dude, this looked in some areas like better than that stuff. And I'm like, well, that I don't know. Like, I don't want to get too hopeful here, but I'm almost hoping that maybe they will be able to get this game out a little bit sooner than 2026. But the point is, it seems like it's going to be worth the wait. I'm very excited. Hype levels, frankly, higher than they were. Um, And that's as far as I'm going to go because I don't want to get into any spoiler territory or anything like that. Oh man, savage for no reason. um. All right, so yeah, there's one other thing I want to acknowledge here, not necessarily regarding Wolverine. I saw, where is it? Hold on. Somebody brought it up. Lore Cannon. You're saying media bias is showing right now. They didn't feel sorry when Capcom got hacked and personal developers' information leaked, and they still covered it. Yeah, so I have to go on just a little tangent. Again, it's not going to be too long, but little rant, micro rant. I don't know, microaggression. So yeah, I knew yesterday that some people were going to be taking the stance of like, we're not covering this leak. We're not talking about it. This is messed up. And I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but some of this stuff truly has made me cringe to like the next level where I am not going to endorse or get behind this cherry picking nonsense. Okay. Where I understand what's on the table right now. I think everybody does. This is a hack by scumbags that are doing something very wrong, and it's shitty and it's trash and it shouldn't have happened. And it's especially bad when, yes, employee information is part of that. Okay? But to take this stance as if what happened, like you mentioned here with Capcom in the past, where no one fucking cared at all, or it was just like, well, we'll just talk about it, right? Or with Grand Theft Auto, like, are people just gonna pretend that like the literal code for GTA 5 and GTA 6 potentially was out there being sold? You know? Are people just like, I just don't understand the double standard here, or just the cherry picking attitude of like, let's talk about how the developers are impacted by this rather than the leaks themselves. Like, let me ask you, did you do that for any other major leak, from any other publisher, from any other studio? So here's what I'll say. I don't, for what it is by itself, you want to take the stance of, well, we're not going to cover the leaks. We're not even going to acknowledge it. We're not going to acknowledge it. We're not diving in any of it. It's wrong. I can respect that. Okay, you want to take the high road? That's fine. But don't let me see you come back down again. All right? You stay where you are so the next time a big leak rolls around, right? I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to, well, it wasn't a hack. I don't care. Okay? The GTA 6 stuff was a hack. And everybody covered that. I don't want to hear, well, employee information isn't involved. There have been instances in the past where employee information has been involved and it didn't stop, it didn't stop people from covering stuff. So I'm not, and here's the thing too, and I need to make this crystal clear. I'm not advocating for shitty behavior here. There's a difference between covering the leak and just talking about some of the things, some of the surface level things that are coming out, like we have been doing here. There's a difference between that and being like, I'm going to egregiously share this footage and share it around and make sure everybody sees it. And then when you talk about the employee information, I have not seen a single human being out here talking about sharing employee information. I think 99.99% of people are well aware that that is just wrong on every level, and no one would do that. I don't know who would do something like that. But to treat people who are just interested in, oh man, look at some of these games that are coming down the line. Oh man, look at some of this Wolverine footage. To treat that as like, that's like morally and ethically condemnable. It's like, give me a fucking break. Please get off your high horse. Or do me a favor. If you're going to stay on your high horse, don't get off when it's convenient for you. I'm tired of that. That's what's wrong with this industry as a whole right there. Be consistent. We need more consistency across the board from everybody. All right? So, rant over. Chris says I can feel the rant juice building. Look, it's too early for me to be getting my blood pressure this high, okay? Let's see. Yeah, GTA 6 got hype regardless. Figuratively literal. You're saying, hey, MBG, did you hear the PS5 just sold 50 million units just a week after the PS4? Seeing Medieval sell 500K in a few months has got me hoping for a Medieval 2 remake. Yeah, I didn't see that. I think that's pretty good for something like Medieval, 500K. I could see us getting a Medieval 2 remake. I did see that though. Yeah, so that actually wasn't on the docket for today. I was thinking about saving it for tomorrow, but since you mentioned it figuratively literal, yes, it's been officially confirmed. The PlayStation 5 has sold through to customers 50 million units. So a massive milestone achieved by the PS5. Can't say I'm surprised, but one piece of information that is very important here is what you mentioned. The PS5 is now trending just 1 week behind the PS4. What's interesting about that is just a couple of months ago, back in July, the PS5 was trending a couple of months behind the PS4. So what we are seeing is the PS5 is rapidly catching up to the PS4, and I think it's obvious by now the PS5 is going to leapfrog the PS4 and outpace it. And this is very good because it means that okay, well, the PS5 now has a real chance at outselling the PS4. And if the PS5 outsells the PS4, it could go the distance. We'll have to see. You're saying Matt Piscatella says in the US, PS5 sales continued to trend above the PS4. Well, even better. Yeah, I missed that. So, congratulations to the PS5. Seriously, that's a huge milestone. Um, I guess I should bring this up here. So, figuratively literal, damn you. Damn you. I wasn't trying to talk about this. I was going to save it for tomorrow, but we have other topics we can talk about tomorrow. So I'll just bring this up here. I came across this article. PS5 outsold the Xbox Series X and S 3-1 in 2023, research firm estimates. This is being reported by VGC. PlayStation 5 outsold the Xbox Series X and S by almost 3-1 this year, according to estimates from research firm Ampere Analysis. It told the Financial Times that sales of Sony's console were up about 65% to 22.5 million units this year. In comparison, annual Xbox Series X and S sales reportedly declined by 15% to 7.6 million, while sales of Nintendo's aging Switch console fell by 18% to 16.4 million. They continue by saying here the data was provided to coincide with Sony's announcement that the PS5 has cleared 50 million sales since launching in November of 2020. The console reached the sales milestone just 1 week slower than the PS4, despite having to contend with significant COVID-related supply issues, which have now been overcome. Sony Interactive Entertainment head of global marketing Eric Limpel told the FT that last month was the biggest November on record for PlayStation sales, measured by both units and revenue. The company is aiming to ship 25 million PS5 consoles during its current fiscal year, ending in March 2024. If achieved, it would beat a 25-year-old console sales record set with the original PlayStation where it shipped 22.6 million units over a 12-month period. So, yeah, man. Wow. Dude, the PS5 is on fire right now. I mean, there is no stopping this console. And it's just kind of funny to go over this data because everything we're kind of seeing with the console and its performance and the engagement levels and the revenue levels, it's like antithetical to to just a lot of the conversations that are happening right now. But man, Xbox Series console sales down reportedly 15% overall for the year. It's kind of crazy to me. Dude, the Switch is down 18%. How is Xbox trending near the Switch? The Xbox consoles and the PlayStation 5 right now is like, these are peak years for these consoles. Like, they should be climbing rapidly right now. And the PS5 is, but man, dude, I don't mean to harp on it, but it's just we keep getting more info about it. I have no clue what Microsoft is going to do, but we'll see. Maybe they have plans. Maybe they'll just keep the Xbox at a steep discounted price for a long time, and maybe that'll help. But 50 million PS5 units sold. PS5 is right now, frankly, crushing the competition. It just is. I mean, there's no way around it. We'll see what changes once the Switch 2 comes out, but there you go, man. For a console with apparently no games, it sure is fucking selling like hotcakes. So Sony must be doing something right. MBG has to diss Xbox every live stream. Well, dude, listen, man. I'm not trying to diss Xbox as much as it's the reality, man. It is. Like if Xbox was up like 15% and not down 15%, I'd still have to point out that that's not great, but that's okay. It's improvement, it's better, it's growth. But I don't know what they're going to do, man. They have the Switch coming up. We'll see. But with that being said, we are going to move right along here. I needed to talk to you guys about Ratchet and Clank. We have an original story. It says Insomniac has enjoyed incredible critical and commercial success with Spider-Man in recent years. And though 2021's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart did enjoy smaller or similar critical acclaim, it seems the action platformer has failed to make an equal impact with its commercial performance. That's per recently leaked internal Insomniac documents that have emerged online following a ransomware attack on the studio. As per the leak, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which was confirmed to have sold 1.1 million units as of July 2021, has sold over 2.2 million units worldwide, though the sales have been unable to turn a profit. In fact, Rift Apart incurred a loss of $8 million as per the leaked details, with a total budget of $81 million and total revenue of $73 million and a negative 10% return on investment. However, there is an update to the story. More recent data seems to have emerged from this leak, suggesting that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart had shipped over 2.7 million units as of February 2022, with sell-through numbers standing at over 2.3 million units, and it did, in fact, turn a profit. Granted, it wasn't a large profit, but yeah, this is important to point out because we were under the impression or I guess the assumption that based off of what we were seeing, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was technically a failure because it didn't turn any kind of profit. Seems like it didn't even break even. No, it did. It did in fact turn a profit. This was revealed in if you dig deeper into the documentation. And this explains why it's getting a sequel, right? Is this accurate? Yeah. So I did see where this came from. It was an official slide. Like you know how some of these they're like PowerPoint presentations that are leaking. There was one where it confirmed that Ratchet and Clank, they were basically celebrating it, where like it became profitable. Now, granted, it seems like it did pretty much slow down completely after that, but yeah, any copy of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart sold, I guess, after what does this say? February. I think it said February 2022. I mean, that's just further profit for the game. So, and I'm happy to see that because it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. It was a bummer to see that. You're saying I missed the date on the PowerPoint. Yeah. It's so much information to wade through. It's easy. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I overlooked accidentally. But just kind of a little update for you regarding that. Before I move on to the main topic, which is this new leaked data that reveals why Sony's not trying to compete with Game Pass, I do just got to tell you guys, I got my Pulse Explorers in finally. Took long enough. Wasn't from PlayStation Direct. Was from Walmart. Man, Walmart always giving me issues. But I just kind of want to give you my quick thoughts. I'm only going to be talking about it momentarily. Let me see. So first off, I love the case. It's actually awesome. It's like a mini PS5. I don't know. It's cool. But yeah, there they are. I don't know if the camera's going to focus or not. So I want to ask, has anybody else gotten their Pulse Explorers yet? Focus. It won't focus. Oh, there we go. Wait. Yeah, but they're pretty nice, man. Like they're a little bit lighter. They don't have like the most premium feel, but they're pretty lightweight. But they fit well. They charge perfectly. Although I'm still trying to get used to putting them in there. Haven't used the Bluetooth capability on them yet, but the sound quality. Oh man, These things are the real deal. Let me tell you, sound quality is amazing on these things, and they're exactly what I hoped they would be. Very high quality, sounds phenomenal. Yeah, so the only thing is, can you change the volume? Yeah, it has a volume rocker on it. I can confirm that if you hit the mute button on the controller when these are connected, it mutes your mic. You can mute all the sound, even coming from the headphones. So it's really nice. They're I mean, as compatible as it gets, and you can connect it to Bluetooth while you're actually using it on the PS5, which is nice. There is no noise cancellation. Although I will say, like, when I'm wearing them, I can't hear jack shit. Like, I just can't. I can't hear anything outside of it. So I don't know that it would need, frankly, noise cancellation, but that's just me. I didn't try it with VR yet. And we have Hellbound 1981. Another legend following up Corey and Jake, dropping 5 more membership gifts for this community. We are making our way to our goal today, guys. Let's see if we can hit 25 members today. You guys have been absolutely killing it lately. So Hellbound, thank you so much, man. Let's get some W's flowing in the chat.
Appreciate it.
He's always here, always showing such generosity to the community. Amazing, amazing stuff there. So 16 members on the day. Is the mic quality better than other headsets? So the only complaint that I've had, well, I mean, I was playing some Dead by Daylight with my wife last night, and she, it was the first night of me using them. She was saying that the mic quality really wasn't that great. But I don't know if it was the way I was wearing them. I think I was wearing them upside down because it was like more comfortable for me. And I wonder if like me doing that made it so that it just wasn't picking up my voice as well. Or maybe just the quality isn't as good, because I have a different pair of Sony headphones I've been using. They're like you've probably seen me wear them on stream before. They're the white ones that wrap around the ear. They're wired though, and the sound quality isn't nearly as high, but it has apparently a good mic on it. So it's hard for me to say exactly, like how good the mic quality really is. But it was good enough. My other friend said that he didn't notice a difference. So yeah. We have Corey, the legend Landiga, coming in. He's doing it. He completely bodies the membership goal. He drops another 10 bomb. Guys, that's 20 memberships gifted from Corey on the stream today already. We are now sitting at 26 members. I need to see more W's flowing in the chat. Corey not only keeps the membership train going, but he destroys the goal as well. Corey, man, dude, thank you so much for all the support and all the love you show the community. MGS theme, good sir. We can do it. We'll do it. We'll do it for Corey. Anything for Corey. If Corey wants the MGS theme, Corey gets the damn MGS theme. You hear me? Oh, I forgot to bring up my weights. I hope nobody drops a 50 bomb today. Because I said that the next time we get a 50 bomb drop, I was going to play this MGS theme and start doing some bicep curls for the whole minute. Oh, man. I forgot to bring the weights up. Gaslighting. But yeah, Corey, dude, thank you so much, man. Let me update this membership goal, and we'll continue with our conversation. Good stuff. I don't know about you guys, but this Metal Gear theme never gets old. I have a question really quick for you guys. Because it kind of got me thinking. Does anybody ever listen to video game music when they're working out or like lifting or anything? I don't think I've ever done that. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it has like a different impact on you. You do all the time? You guys have to give me some recommendations. I just listen to like, what I normally listen to, rock, metal, but I never really thought about, I don't know, like what would it be like to work out to the God of War theme, Good stuff. Listen to the Cyberpunk soundtrack. Yeah, I could see that being pretty good. Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtrack? Oh yeah, Doom. Doom makes a lot of sense. You listen to Final Fantasy music in the car. That's cool. Interesting. Yeah, Doom's soundtrack I could see being like, yeah, for sure. Because it's pretty damn heavy. Yeah, I'll have to think about it. I'll have to look into it. But all right, guys, we're sitting at 26 members today. I did forget. I'll just make this one last request, and then we will dive headfirst into this topic. Do me a favor, hit that like button for me, okay? We're sitting at 97 likes. We have over 430 people here. We could easily crush 200 likes if everybody chipped in. So hit that like button for me. Helps out a lot. Let me start here. So I have this article. Horizon Forbidden West sales flatlined after joining PlayStation Plus, leading to a projected $85 million loss in retail revenue. Now, I haven't seen many outlets reporting on this, but this is possibly some of the most revealing data when it comes to Sony's overall strategy and decision making when it comes to PlayStation. Sony has insisted multiple times over the years that Microsoft's Game Pass centric model is not one that would work for PlayStation. The company has made it abundantly clear that it has no plans in the foreseeable future to start putting all of its games on a subscription service day and date, believing that it would have an adverse effect on sales, something that Microsoft itself has also admitted. Now, leaked internal documents emerging from the recent Insomniac Games data breach have revealed data that seems to lend weight to that notion. As per the documents, which were shared by a Reddit user, sales for Horizon Forbidden West, quote, flatlined, end quote, after the open world action RPG became available via PlayStation Plus in its second year. The documents show a graph comparing Forbidden West sales in its second year to those of its predecessor, Horizon Zero Dawn, showcasing a noticeable comparative decline in sales in spite of an enormous influx of players coming to the game through PlayStation Plus. Sony also says the leaked documents that it was expecting 30% year-on-year revenue of $124 million from year two sales of Horizon Forbidden West. However, following its addition to PlayStation Plus, Sony slashed those projections to just 9% year-on-year revenue of $35 million, representing an $85 million loss in retail revenue. Of course, it's worth pointing out that Horizon Forbidden West has enjoyed its fair share of commercial success regardless. Earlier this year, Sony announced that the game has sold over 8.4 million units worldwide. And again, we did find out that it had a total budget of $212 million. So this is, I mean, it's right there. It's literally right there. Sony tried somewhat to copy the Game Pass model. Now, again, there is a difference. Sony waited a year, and that's not surprising. I don't think anybody would have ever expected Sony to drop a game like Horizon Forbidden West into PlayStation Plus anywhere near its launch. But I think many people were kind of surprised to find that, wow, Horizon Forbidden West being dropped into PlayStation Plus just 1 year later, little unexpected. Little bit sooner, maybe a lot sooner than anybody expected. And when you look at this graph, which I don't have the graph in front of us, it murdered the sales of this game. Like, it pretty much guaranteed that this game was not going to, I don't want to say that it wasn't going to sell well ever again at all, but I mean, it didn't help the game. It actually seemingly hurt it somewhat. It objectively hurt its sales, but you do have to wonder, and this is something I do want to bring up here, play devil's advocate. Could it be that Sony, maybe they saw that the game was flatlining? Is it possible? Is it possible that Horizon Forbidden West was already beginning to flatline, and because of that, they were like, well, let's try to throw it in PlayStation Plus and hope that it boosts the sales? I think that's a possibility, but what's just a little bit weird to me about that is, like, I don't know if they had such high projections, you know, they thought we're gonna make $124 million extra dollars because we dropped it in the Game Pass. So, in other words, to simplify what I'm trying to say, Sony believed that if they put Horizon Forbidden West into PlayStation Plus 1 year later, it would actually boost the sales of the game, boost their projections. More people would buy the game. And what they found is that no, it didn't boost your sales at all. Like it seems that anybody who was going to buy the game originally um either already did, or if there were people that were holding out, they were like, "Well, it's okay. I'll just play it through PlayStation Plus now." And we never heard about this from Sony. I also want to make it known that we haven't really seen Sony do something like this since they did it with Horizon Forbidden West. And when I put in my thumbnail here that Sony kind of tried it, I think this is the game they chose to experiment with, to see, okay, this is outside of our comfort zone. We normally wouldn't put Forbidden West, a game like Forbidden West, into PlayStation Plus within the first year. It's definitely not something we would ever do. But you know what? Let's see. Like, maybe it will boost sales. We think it will. Let's do it. And they just found out that it's like, oh, um, this actually seemingly killed our sales. And we haven't seen Sony do it with games like Gran Turismo, with games like God of War Ragnarok. We're certainly not going to see it with Spider-Man 2. And I almost, you get the sense that Sony regrets even trying that, and that they really do believe that they would have garnered more sales if they just didn't put Horizon Forbidden West into PlayStation Plus. It is going to be launching on PC. I think early. Wait, did it launch on PC already, or did they say early 2024? Yeah, that's true. They did release a DLC, so maybe the hope is that people who were playing it on PlayStation Plus, maybe they'll be more inclined to just buy the DLC, so Sony will get some money from them. But this is why I just feel like the conversation around Sony PlayStation embracing the Game Pass model, it's just never going to happen. It's just not. And it's for this simple reason that I think to a lot of people was kind of obvious. Like, wow, this isn't surprising, right? Like, you put a game into a service, it's going to stop selling, or it's likely going to hurt the sales of that game considerably. And it's basic logic. Why would I pay for a game if it's on a service that I'm subscribed to? It's basic logic. I understand why it would turn out that way, but it's just people, I think, give Sony such a hard time. And I get it, because it's like, from the consumer level, you look at Microsoft and you're like, well, Microsoft can do it. Why can't you? My question is, what game, maybe other than Halo Infinite? Halo Infinite is probably the exception to the rule here. But what game? Well, I don't know. I guess Starfield. What do we think the budget of Starfield was? I was gonna say, what game has how frequently do we see Microsoft drop games with budgets like this into uh Game Pass? And I don't know. I guess there's Halo Infinite, and then I guess Starfield would, Gears 5 maybe. Yeah, I guess Gears 5 could be up there. You think Forza? Well, that's the thing though. Like, you have to ask yourself, well, why is Microsoft so okay with doing this, knowing that it's going to either kill or hurt their sales? Like, why did Microsoft stop caring about sales? Why does Sony still care about sales? I think that's really kind of the big question that kind of presents itself here. I think Hellblade. I would like to know what the budget of Forza is. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the budget of Forza really isn't that high. But then again, maybe it is. I don't know. It's not like we got any leaked data from the Microsoft side of things regarding stuff like this. The Contextual Gamer with a $5 super chat says maybe they put it on Plus to ensure that the game got recognized due to them having more Horizon projects in the works. Marketing, or maybe its ending hurt it. I mean, there is always just the real possibility that people are becoming disenchanted with Horizon. There is always the possibility that Horizon Zero Dawn was lightning in a bottle, and Sony and Guerrilla are under this impression that this can be some kind of multimedia, massive IP that grows and becomes bigger and bigger. But in reality, they might find that people are already tired of it. I'm not saying that's what this indicates, because again, Horizon Forbidden West did still sell well, but it seemingly just didn't do what Sony expected of it. And I don't know if I feel confident in saying that Forbidden West the sales of it started to taper off quicker than Sony expected. I feel confident in saying that, because if it didn't, I don't think they would have taken the chance of putting it into PlayStation Plus. But they did put it into PlayStation Plus. So it tells me that they thought, okay, well, you know what? Maybe the sales are dropping a little bit quicker than we thought. We'll put it in the PlayStation Plus, and we think it'll help it. But instead, it's like, well, damn you, Microsoft. You think Elden Ring hurt the game? Yeah, I think it's safe to say Elden Ring did at least a little bit of damage, considering where they, you know, when they launched. I agree with that. But I want to ask you guys, what do you think here? What do you think of this? Do you think that, it's kind of like a chicken and egg situation? Do you think that Horizon Forbidden West was already beginning to flatline, and that's what made Sony throw it into PlayStation Plus? Or do you think that Sony wanted to see if throwing it into PlayStation Plus would ultimately lead to more sales? I see a lot of yeses. So you guys think it was Horizon beginning to flatline, and that's what made Sony put it into PlayStation Plus? Jesse says no. Horizon had no legs. You know what's weird about that? Like the idea of Horizon not having legs. What's going on there with that? I don't quite understand that, because maybe that's true. It seems to me like Horizon Forbidden West just isn't performing the same as Zero Dawn did, and that's my question: is like, what is it about Horizon Zero Dawn that made it go the distance, so to speak, to where maybe the sequel isn't? Breaking scoop: Bobby Kotick is leaving Microsoft on December 29th. Oh, well, there we go. I'll look into that right after this. You think the story did it? You think the PC version? Now that's an interesting that's an interesting theory. The game was boring. Checkerboard 4K. Pragmatic Cat thinks that checkerboard 4K is the reasoning. That'd be a hell of a reason. Yeah, I don't know. This is you know what? Here's the thing. So if we go with that, right? If we find out that, well, let's ask this question. There's a couple questions here. One question is, if Sony did the same thing with God of War Ragnarok, would the results have been the same? If Sony put God of War Ragnarok into PlayStation Plus this November, would it have significantly boosted sales? Like significantly? Or would they see the same results where it's like, well, we got some sales, but it didn't really do anything for it? Aloy never stopped talking during the entire game. You couldn't even solve puzzles before she told you how to. That is pretty funny. That is true, yeah. That was definitely a major weak point of the game. It's a tough one, man. I think this scared Sony off. I do. Like, I think even if we come to the conclusion that, well, Sony put Horizon Forbidden West into PlayStation Plus because it was declining. People weren't buying it. The sales were slowing down. Even if that is the reason, I think Sony looked at this and was like, "Oh wow, that didn't produce the results we expected at all. We're never doing this again." Because I don't think we've seen it since. And the only thing we've seen from them is a price increase for PlayStation Plus without any added value, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think Sony's going to be pursuing the Game Pass model ever. I just this to me it's pretty convincing, right? Like we already saw Sony kind of entrench themselves in the traditional model. We just went over uh the leaked image yesterday where Sony themselves, they were straight up saying like, you know, super high budget AAA high quality games basically for free through a sub service. It's not sustainable. But I do almost wonder if Sony had thoughts. Maybe they did. I don't know, man. Maybe this is one of the things that Jim Ryan, I don't know. I don't want to say he messed up, but maybe one of the things he was trying to experiment with where it's like, here's PlayStation Plus Extra, here's PlayStation Plus Premium. Oh, that's interesting. That seems like they're trying to compete with Game Pass a little bit here. And you know what? Let's experiment further. Let's drop Horizon Forbidden West in there, see what happens. And I don't know, man. It just seems like the end result is, here's another question. I didn't ask this one too. This is just as important. This is probably an even more important question. I don't know why I'm just now thinking of this. Did it increase PlayStation Plus subscribers? And if so, how much did it do? We don't have that data. It must not have, right? Like it must not have done much because they didn't do it. They haven't done it since. You're saying do the math though, MBG. 15, 20 a month times 50, 75 million subs. No, I know that. I don't like I want to make it clear. The notion of video game development being unsustainable under the uh subscription model, I think it's not that simple. Like I don't think that's an umbrella statement because think about it. If you So let me see. How many subs does PlayStation Plus have? What was the last number we heard? It was like 46 million. And how much is Essential a month now? Is it still is it $11 a month? $10. It's $10 a month, I think. So if it's 10 a month, it's 400. Oh wow. And that's not even counting the that's if somebody's paying month over month. So if every single PlayStation Plus subscriber, yeah, if every PlayStation Plus subscriber was paying $10 a month for PS Plus Essential, I mean that's 460 million. That's like a game and a half. That's like a game and a half or almost two games for Sony, bro. Holy shit. So, what would the numbers? I mean, I guess that's the question, right? Remember what Sean Layden said? Do you guys remember what Sean Layden said? He said that the only way AAA game development can be sustainable under a subscription model is you need like 500 million subscribers or some shit like that. MBG breaking, Liza P director commented about Game Pass just now. Um I don't know who their director is. Can you tell me what they said? Definitely interested in. But that's what's crazy to me, man. Is like I don't know the amount of subscribers you would need to make it sustainable is insane, dude. They said Game Pass helped their game out. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm not, dude. I'm not surprised. I'm not. Like this is where you cannot convince me that they, well, I don't say they made a mistake because I don't know how much they were paid. If they took the bag, they must have been paid good. But I'm not surprised, dude. Like Lies of P to me is the type of game where like people, I don't think people knew how good it was going to be. Now, you just a question though, is he saying that it helped them? Did it help them sales wise, or did it just help them with exposure of the game? I don't, because I don't know that. I don't know. I don't know the name of the. Um, let me see. Lies of P. Maybe they said it officially on their. Yeah, I don't know the name of the director. Yeah, I'm sure Xbox paid a pretty penny to get that game. But dude, the idea that people on Game Pass would come across Lies of P and play it and I don't know, be like, wow, like, yeah, this game's incredible. I bet you some people did buy it. I would have. Like, I mean, the game is really good. I just played it some more this morning. Jin Wan Choi. Wan Choi. Oh my god, there's so many coming up. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find this guy. But I believe you guys 100%. You know, maybe I'll look. Maybe it'll be reported on, and I'll get like a write up on it. Game Pass helped them market the game. Well, dude, listen. This is why I'm saying. This is why I'm saying that like my crusade has never been against subscription services themselves. Like I don't feel like gaming subscription services don't have a place in gaming or in the market. I think they absolutely do, and I think they are good. My only problem is this idea that it has to be one way or the other. And I think what makes that so complicated is, well, let's face it, the subscription model is a complicated model in terms of, well, how does content get made? How does money get made? And everything in between. The traditional model, it's still complicated, certainly, but it's a little bit more streamlined. And like you put this amount of money into the product, you do that anticipating X amount of sales, and then with that you anticipate X amount of profit. And this is, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of easier to make these projections. But with something like a subscription service, I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot less, not less. It's a lot harder, I think, to make those projections. It is, I think, riskier to an extent. But we have figuratively literal. He says Horizon Forbidden West did perform better in 1 year than Horizon Zero Dawn with 8.4 million compared to 7.6. I think Horizon Zero Dawn just had insane legs, and Sony handicapped Horizon Forbidden West with its inclusion. That is, yeah, that's a good point. Figuratively literal. I guess I didn't I didn't have that at the forefront of my mind that it did actually outpace Zero Dawn in the same time frame. It is possible, dude. I mean, Microsoft did admit it themselves that it hurts their sales. You know, that putting games day one into their services has pretty much destroyed their sales to a certain extent. Not entirely, but it's, you know, it's just this, it's the simple logic that how many more copies would Starfield have sold if it wasn't on Game Pass? The answer is probably millions. Like, just flat out. The answer is probably millions of copies. But that's the thing. Those are potentially millions of subs. So Microsoft has made this trade-off, right? And Sony is seemingly not okay doing that. Which again is understandable when you kind of do the math and you realize, man, it's going to be tough to get that many subs. Another thing worth pointing out is that Horizon Forbidden West came sooner in the generation, but then again, it was on PS4, so never mind. That's void. I guess we won't know, man. I guess we won't know. I again, like we get this information, we get this data, but we're still lacking all the context. New Soul 9 with a $10 chat saying, wait, MBG, that's stupid of Sony for even thinking that it's going to boost their sales. They didn't try it because they actually approached it the wrong way. This model is for a long-term investment. That I do agree with, New Soul 9. When you're talking about needing to get to 80, 90, 100, 120, 150, 200 million subscribers and beyond that, when you're talking about those numbers, like, yeah, that's like this is a complete, I mean, the undertaking is a huge one. That it's not going to happen in 5 years. It's not going to happen in 10 years. This is like a 20 plus year, probably well beyond 20-year plan. And that's what's so fascinating about Microsoft and Game Pass is that Microsoft can do that. They can. Like, Microsoft can just sit there for 20 plus years. Did we reach 100 million yet? No. Okay. Well, let's keep it going. Are we still growing? Yeah. All right, let's keep it going. How long? How long until we reach 200 million subs? Dude, it doesn't matter for Microsoft. I really believe that. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong. But there's a part of me that believes that, dude, the difference between Sony and Microsoft truly is not, it's not even the business models. It's why they have to pursue those business models. Why would Microsoft do this? Why? Think about it. You guys got Activision, Blizzard, you got Bethesda. If you made your games exclusive, do you know how well your console would sell? You'd probably have the best-selling Xbox console in Xbox's history. You'd probably be pacing somewhat with the PS5. But you have to ask, like, why? And the reason is because, dude, the only way Microsoft was ever able to make this type of investment was they had to approach a business model that they knew their competitors probably couldn't. In fact, no way they could. They had to do something that was frankly impossible for the competition to do. But just because it's impossible doesn't guarantee its success. That's the complicated part for Microsoft more so than Sony, where, okay, Microsoft may not have to worry about Sony with PS Plus, and they certainly don't have to worry about Nintendo, but you still have to figure out, okay, well, how do we grow this thing? And that's the hard part. You know, that's why it's kind of interesting to see that in a way, Sony and Microsoft really aren't competing. And I think people are under the misconception that when they hear Sony come out and say, we're not following Game Pass, it's like, boo, you suck, Sony. Why not? They can do it. Why can't you? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like, I hate to use this. Maybe that's not the best comparison. I'm trying to think of a reasonable comparison that's not going to, ruffle too many feathers here. I don't know. I'm not thinking of any good ones, man. I'm not. It all makes Microsoft and Sony sound way better or worse than they really are. So I guess I won't use an analogy, but instead I'll just flat out say that PlayStation doesn't have the money. Like, just flat out, they do not have the money that would be necessary to brute force their way over the course of 10, 15, 20 plus years to grow their subscribers to where they need to be. Because think about it. What do you need to get subscribers? You need high quality ass games, right? That's what you need. Well, that's expensive. So you're supposed to dump money into these games and release these games, potentially take massive losses on these games, but it's all in the name of growing your subscriptions. Well, all of that sounds like a lot of potentially like a lot of lost money. It's a lot of investment. It's like you're saying, Newsom, like that's a lot of investment. How do we survive that? Well, you just got to have Microsoft on your side, bro. Like that. It's as simple as that. If Sony ever wanted to do something like Microsoft is, they would need Apple. They would need Apple or Google or one of these just titan companies that it's like money is not a problem. We can pursue this 20-year goal, and we can help you brute force your way there. But Sony on their own, Sony is and I know people laugh at me sometimes when I say this because they're like, imagine calling Sony a small company. Guys, compared to Microsoft, Sony is a very small company. Like, they're small in the sense that if it was just like attrition, right? Like a battle of attrition where it's like, who would bleed out first, right? Who would bleed out first? Sony would bleed out first, like way, way, way before Microsoft ever did. If you're talking just about losing money, and that's just the fact. Like that's the way it is, you know. So, it's the difference of billions versus trillions. Saying Lies of P is getting a sequel. Let's go. Did they confirm that? I'm not, dude. Again, I'm not surprised. Absolutely, I didn't beat the game yet, but yeah, dude, they got to keep going. They're too talented. They're too talented. Okay, maybe that's a bit extreme. Or a Rolls Royce versus walking. It's not that big. Come on, that's a bit much. That's funny though. Yeah, Sony's walking. Meanwhile, Microsoft is in that Rolls Royce. But yeah, that's a bit much. It's getting DLC too. Oh, sick, dude. That's amazing. I'm really happy for them. Lies of P deserves all the success, man. You just need Corey says you just need a spare $1 trillion lying around to afford it in the long term. Well, you know, this is the thing, man. This is where you can see the. I am worried about Sony's future in the AAA game space, man. I am. I don't think. Look, I'm not saying if you're a PlayStation fan you have to be worried about Sony's money. I'm not saying that, but it's like, if you have been a consumer of Sony's games and you like these types of games and you continue to support these types of games, I do think you should pay a little bit of attention as to what's going on right now with Sony. I would say financially, it's not your responsibility, but something that might pique your interest is there is a problem. Like, there just is a problem that Sony is running into. Microsoft has their own problem. Microsoft's problem is, again, it's how do we get subscribers? We have to invest like $75 billion to do that. And even then, like, we're so far from potentially our goal. So that's Microsoft's problem. That's not Sony's problem. Sony's problem is we are finding that the expectation from our fans and from our players continues to increase. You know, the stakes raise, things get, you know, like the AAA games we're making, that the just flat out the cost, it's getting out of hand. I'm telling you, the biggest, I think how I want to word this. The next big, like, bomb drop moment in terms of getting people upset from Sony, and I'm talking like big, like something that's going to get people like, yo, what the fuck? Like, everybody's going to have to be like, hold on now. Is this really what's going on? Like, what is Sony doing? I'm telling you, the next time that's going to happen is probably at the beginning of the PlayStation 6 generation. And you're going to see it. I don't think it's going to come in the form of PC day one for their single player games. I'm telling you, I think Sony's beyond that. I saw a bunch of people yesterday telling me that, like, oh, it seems like Sony's, like, now more than ever, they're going to go day one PC. You know what? They probably will. Like, even with their single player games, before I would have been convinced that they're not going to, but knowing that they are reaching this point, like, I don't want to say it, well, I have to say, they're reaching a danger zone, dude. They are. Like, again, like, Spider-Man 2 is going to be apparently like almost $400 million in total. Like, they are reaching a danger zone of how expensive these games are becoming to make and develop. And it is becoming imperative. It is an imperative, but I mean, they're really, again, it's just the pressure is mounting. You got to make sure this thing is going to sell a lot. Like, like nothing can get in the way of that. And it's one of these things where, like, again, the PC thing, that to me is not the big whoa moment. Don't get me wrong. If Sony announces, like, next year, like, we're dropping our games day one on the PC, it's going to be a very big deal. But I think most people, like most rational people, even PlayStation fans, will be like, well, it really did seem like you were headed in this direction anyway. And people will just have to make a choice. Do you want to buy a PS5 console? Do you want to buy a PC? I do think Sony might still be a little too invested in the console space, certainly, to just dive headfirst into that. But they are headed in that direction, one way or another, with their live service games. You know? So we do have to consider that reality. But to me, that's not going to be the big holy shit moment from Sony that gets people going like, what is going on? I have after seeing some of that leaked information about what Sony plans to do with Spider-Man 3, it is clear Sony is going to find ways to get more money. They're going like to charge more money for their games. Flat out. Like, that is where they are headed. I need people. I'm not saying you have to be okay with this or accept it. I'm not. This isn't a matter of me telling you it's perfectly fine or be outraged and get your pitchforks and torches. It's neither of those things. I'm just trying to, well, first off, I'm trying to understand myself, but when I feel like I understand, to share that understanding with you. Sony's biggest problem right now, a reminder, is not their revenue. Sony's raking in more money from PlayStation than they ever have in its history. But the big question that the shareholders always ask, well, what about the profits? How are the profit margins? What are the profit percentages? And you look into that and you realize they're actually pretty low and they're kind of shrinking. And you ask, well, what's going on there? Well, we don't have our own live service games. So all the revenue we get from the PlayStation Store, from these massive live service games, we only get 30%. And even then, if I'm not mistaken, I think even that gets divvied up a little bit further. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. Okay, well, what about PlayStation Plus? Well, PlayStation Plus, we're kind of losing subs, right? Well, why are you losing subs? Well, we can't really match the offering of our competition, or if it's not that, maybe people just aren't that interested. So we raised the price of PlayStation Plus. People are outraged, people are upset, but that's Sony's way of, we got to try to increase the profit margins because they're shrinking. Okay. All right, well, what else do you got? Well, we got our big single player games. Well, that's doing good, right? It's like, well, yeah, but you know, we're finding that the price to keep up with this, it's going up and up. Like, you know, we're at a point where we're spending like upwards of $300 million per big AAA game. And we're having a harder time, you know? Like, our sales aren't increasing at the same rate. That's the big thing too. Is like the sales, when Jim Ryan said, like, you know, because I saw a couple people mention this in chat, they're like, remember when Jim Ryan said, like, console players, like, aren't enough, like, it's just not enough. What he's just really trying to explain is that as the cost of making these games is rising, the rate at which they're selling is not matching it entirely. Like, maybe for games like Spider-Man 2 and maybe games like God of War Ragnarok. But like we're talking about right here with Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, like it just seems like Sony, in order for them to prevent their profit margins from shrinking, because nothing's going to scare away shareholders faster than profit margins shrinking, while revenue is increasing, is nothing's going to scare them away quicker than something like that. And so, I guess what I'm trying to explain here is that I very much see a future, and I know this sounds super shitty to everybody, but I'm just saying right now, like, I wouldn't be surprised, where Sony is just going to break the fucking ice, man, and make it known. I don't know if they'll do it directly, like, we're going to charge you $100 for this game, but looking at what they're doing in Spider-Man 3, where it's like, we were, and we would have charged $70 for this game. But we need to increase our profit margins. So we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to sell it $50 one year for the first part, $50 second year for the second part. And that way, we're going to increase our profit margins by potentially 30%. And I get it. Like, I get why that's like, what the fuck, dude? But that begs the question. Is that the right move? Because think about it. Why would Sony do that? Well, Sony says, well, we need to do this. Sony, why do you need to do it? Because the cost of making these games, it's just going too high. And you guys want bigger and better, don't you? Well, yeah, we want bigger and better. Well, then you're going to have to pay for it. Well, then that's the question right there. The question that the market has to answer that you're saying that sounds like something that surely won't backfire. That's the thing. It's super risky because it could, it seems like it would backfire. Like, people be like, this is bullshit. And here's the scary thing. If Sony does something like that and it does backfire, it would reveal that they made the wrong maneuver, in that rather than trying to actively lower the budgets of their games and tell their fans. See, this is the pressure that Microsoft is putting on them. And I know this sounds crazy, but that's the thing. When you ask the question, well, can't Sony just lower the fucking budget of their games? So what if they're not $200 million plus dollars or $250 million or $300 million, Well, you have licensing for stuff like Marvel. Okay, let's put that aside. What about their own games? Well, the thing is, Sony still has to consider the expectation of the market. And this is a question I have for you. What expectation does the market have for Microsoft's games in Game Pass? What is the expectation that Microsoft is telling the market they should have? Hey, we're Microsoft, we're Xbox Game Studios. Here's what you can expect from our games if you subscribe to Game Pass. What are they? Exactly, Capono. Quality, AAA. We can do it too. And we'll do it for $11 a month. I mean, yes, quantity, but come on. Like, I think we can all agree that the biggest thing Microsoft has tried to convey is that we can make high quality games too, and you can get it through Game Pass. That, like, the biggest thing they're trying to convey is, like, we can do it too, but we can do it at a cheaper price point. Yeah, we can give you the better value. You don't think so? Well, I mean, explain what I mean. Isn't that what Starfield is supposed to be? Like, if I were to talk to an Xbox fan right now and ask, if I were to say to an Xbox fan, Microsoft doesn't drop AAA games at the same quality level that Sony does in Game Pass, dude, oh my God, they'd go for my juggler. Are you kidding me? Like, they'd be like, we got Forza, we got Starfield, we got Halo Infinite, we got Hellblade. And don't get me wrong, like, and that's the thing is, like, they would bring up these games that, frankly, if you were to look at the budgets of those games, like, put the quality, put the, like, reviews and the critical success or not success aside. If you were to look at the budgets of those games, they probably are AAA. Like, I think there was a rumor like Halo had $500 million $500 million budget. Like, it ballooned that out of control. So there's like a bunch of these games that are ballooning in budgets. But that's the thing, dude. What I'm trying to say here is that Sony, if they go back, if they take some steps backwards and they say, we're not allowing any of our games to go beyond $150 million or $180 million because it's too risky and we need to start increasing our profit margins. If they do that, we're going to see it in the games to an extent. Like, even when I said, somebody pointed out yesterday, I was like, damn, dude, Ghost of Tsushima was made with just $60 million. And somebody was like, yeah, you can see that in the assets. And I realized, it got me thinking, like, is that the difference? Because we all ask ourselves, like, where's this fucking money going? And I was thinking, well, if I look at the asset quality in Ghost of Tsushima, not the quality of the game, but like the asset quality, and I compare it to, say, something like, I don't know, Horizon Forbidden West, or like, I don't know, The Last of Us Part 2 or something. It's like, well, I mean, it looks like it's a grade below that, right? You can kind of tell. Not saying it looks bad. I think the smart thing about Ghost of Tsushima is what it lacks in like the asset quality, it makes up for in the art direction and the art style. But there's no denying that there is a noticeable difference. And it just kind of got me thinking, like, is like, okay, like, how much more expensive would it have been? How much more money would it have cost to, let's say, get Ghost of Tsushima's asset quality up to the standard of kind of what we see with something like a Naughty Dog game? Like, is that another 30 million? Is that another 40? I mean, it seems a bit much to me. Like, well, maybe that's like, well, we would need more team members. You know what I mean? We would need, I don't know, it would take longer. I don't know. I mean, these are all the logistics that I don't have enough insight into the industry itself. But I guess that I'm getting too into the weeds here. What I'm trying to say is that if Sony decides the way that we're going to increase our profit margins and prevent them from shrinking any further, is we're going to lower the budgets of our games. If they lower the budget of their games, it's going to be much more difficult for the development teams to achieve the extreme level of triple anus that people have come to expect. And when that begins to happen, just look at what happened with Spider-Man 2. They show gameplay. What's the first thing people are doing? Absolute savages. Jumping all over. Well, did you see this imperfection? What about that? Oh my God, you see that shadow? What's up with that lighting? Did they reuse an asset there? I love the new people here who don't know the triple anus reference. Yes, that's right, triple anus. It's a term I coined. But that's the thing. It's when you see that stuff happening now on games like Spider-Man 2 that cost nearly $300 million, what do you think is going to happen when Sony turns to Naughty Dog and says, we can't spend $220 million in this game. We can't go beyond $140 million. What do you think's going to happen? You know, and keep in mind that will be happening while Microsoft doesn't have to worry about that. Microsoft's biggest problem was the talent, and I don't know if they've got the talent yet. You would hope that they have it now, but money is not the problem. Microsoft doesn't have to drop the budgets of their games. They don't. And this is exactly why, because every single dollar that is spent on the Xbox division, it is a long-term investment. It is a drop in the bucket to what they will eventually get when they realize their vision, when they succeed. And we got 200 million GamePass subs. They ever get to that point, 300 million? I mean, who knows how far it could go if they really are able to achieve it. Sony is not in that position, and it's not that they're in a bad position. It's just they're in a tough position where what Sony is, believe it or not, and I know people don't want to fucking hear this, and I can't stand when people talk, well, I don't, fuck Sony and fuck their profits, and I don't, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, it just doesn't work like that, man. Like, Sony is not a charity. Sony can't just say, sure, we'll make this game for you, and then we'll put like $300 million into it, and you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll cover it. If we don't break even, don't sweat it. We got it. It's like, that's how companies begin to fucking slowly go out of business. So what I'm trying to say here is what Jim Ryan has said to us is not wrong, or not. I don't mean to say wrong, because I guess it's it is kind of subjective if you think they're making the wrong choice. He didn't lie. He straight up said, like, we cannot do what Microsoft is doing, or the quality of our games will drop. And what he basically was saying there is we would have to invest less money into our AAA games because we would not be able to even remotely turn a profit, let alone break even. So we would have to ultimately lower the quality of our games. And Jim was feeling pretty confident that pretty sure that's not what our fan base wants. And he was fucking seemingly right, because these games are still selling pretty well. The console's still selling well. Like, there's no sign from the fan base. Like, you may see it on the internet. Like, I just saw it yesterday. People bitching about Wolverine. Oh my God. Wolverine looks just like God of War. Looks just like, you mean one of the best fucking games ever made? Like, do you fucking hear yourself? This is what I'm saying, where it's like that person doesn't speak for the majority. That's just an angry person on the internet that doesn't know what else to do with themselves but watch early gameplay footage, see that it's inspired by one of the greatest games ever made, and say, this is stupid. Or say that, or make it seem like this is a bad thing. Meanwhile, everybody else is like, oh my God, that sounds awesome. And Sony knows that. Sony knows, oh, they like, this is the type of games that our audience likes, and they want to see us go further. Like, let me ask you this. Would people be okay if Wolverine graphically looks worse than Spider-Man 2? Like, not a little bit, like noticeably, like, wow, it looks like they really they like shifted down a notch. Would people be okay with that? Would they be like, that's perfectly fine, keep going in that direction? No. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people realistically would say, well, I will still enjoy the game. I'm still going to play it. But believe me, it would be a focal point. Dude, people were fucking obsessing over puddles with Spider-Man 2. It would be a focal point. It would be the only thing that people constantly bring up about that game. Like, why does it look like shit? Why does it look like that? What's going on? And this is where it's like, this shit, this is just the way it is, man. It is like, so it's not, to be fair, I don't want to just say graphics. Okay. I don't want to just say graphics. Like, people expect improvements across the board. They expect certain innovations. They expect things to be pushed, right? Like, AI, physics, engine. They want to see engines improve. And of course, that's what we want to see, because when engines improve, the entire game itself can improve. It's like when we think about the Decima engine, the next iteration of the Decima engine on the PS5, right? Or the PlayStation 6, like, that shit's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. Like, you have to hire people, you have to hire experts and people that are very talented and know how to do this shit. I want to see next gen fucking facial animations and hair physics and fucking particle effects and lighting and reflections and the whole 9 yards. And it's like, dude, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this shit is going to eat Sony alive. It is eating them alive, dude. It is, because they're finding, like, we want to do this, but oh my God, like, how do we keep up? How are we going to keep up with the costs? We can't just keep turning to the shareholders and saying, yeah, we're our profit margins are shrinking, but we'll figure it out. It's risky. Keep in mind, the whole reason Sony wanted live service games and still does, this is why. It was never to eradicate single player. It was never to do that. It was never to push the single player stuff aside and say it's all about the multiplayer. It was so that when they are investing $300+ million into a single player game, it's totally fine. Like the pressure is much it's reduced so much because while we're raking in like $1 billion a quarter with this, I don't know, Last of Us multiplayer or whatever, Concord just rake this in another billion. You know what I mean? It's like, well, then it can cushion if something goes wrong here. It's okay. We have more than enough padding here to cushion the blow. So I'm just saying, man, like it's not just Sony. Even Capcom's CEO came out and said games are too cheap. and I get it. Like I get it. Everything sucks now, bro, because everything's fucking way too expensive due to inflation. But it's like I understand that the first gut reaction is like, excuse me? I'm paying $70 for games. That's a fucking lot of money, dude. Are you crazy? But that's the reality. Take-Two CEO is saying the same thing. Like, and I know that people think that these are just rich assholes who they're driven by greed. Like, no, dude. Don't get me wrong. This conversation cannot exist with at least a little bit of greed being injected into it. But that is the nature of business itself. You cannot look at anything. You cannot look at any market and assume that money isn't trying to be made. But I just think people need to realize that if you see, this is why Microsoft is going to succeed. This is why Microsoft is actually going in even harder because do you realize that, like, imagine that. Imagine you look around and you're like, "Oh my God. Everybody is struggling with money or with how much money they can invest in their game development. Everybody has to be so meticulous and so careful and so calculated. Every little move they make is so risky." But what about us? Well, we don't have that problem. We don't have to have that problem. We can do whatever we want. We can do literally whatever we want with our money. And no one can do anything. The only body that can do anything about it is the governing bodies, the CMA and whatnot. And this is why it's like, dude, Microsoft, I'm not saying Microsoft it's not about them. I used to think it was about Microsoft destroying Sony or something like that. And it's actually not about that, dude. I've come to realize it's not about that. It's not like Game Pass is going to be the end of Sony. Like Game Pass is to an extent going to put pressure on Sony, but this is really about Sony and Nintendo knowing that they are with the traditional model. Sony's biggest fear is this. Do you remember? I'm sorry. I'm getting to that point now where I'm like my mind's going in like 10 different directions. Let me take a step back. I got a couple super chats. Guys, hang tight. I'm going to read these super chats in just a moment. I just want to bring up one more thing here because I think this really helps illustrate my point. Do you remember that report, that internal report from Microsoft leaked out about The Last of Us Part 2? And it was a brutally honest report that they basically said, like, we have literally nothing like this. Not even close. The level of quality, the meticulous level of detail. And I mean, it was honestly Microsoft praising the shit out of this game where they're like, God damn, this is next level. Now, we also learned, ironically enough, through a leaked report, how much it cost Sony to achieve that next level. And it was about $220 million. I'm pretty sure not counting marketing. So it came at quite quite the cost. And how many years did it take for Naughty Dog to develop that? It took them, what, 6 or 7 years? It's a long time. Now, when you look at Microsoft, when they see something like that and they write up a report, obviously what they want is, man, we would love to have something like that, to be able to make something like that. But Microsoft's not stupid. They know just how challenging it is. They know that right there is Sony's kind of secret sauce, I guess, if you want to use that term. That's their like special ingredient that it allows them to really kind of stand out, and it gives them a kind of prestige that, frankly, Microsoft is lacking. And Nintendo has that in a different area, but Microsoft certainly doesn't have that. And so when Microsoft wakes up, and they did, and they realized, well, we can do what we want with Game Pass. We can buy whoever we want, whatever we want. You know, we can do whatever we want. But how do we get that? And see, the biggest thing Sony has to fear, and if you want to know why Sony is not going to reduce the budget of their games, why Sony is not going to slow down, why Sony is actually more inclined to turn to the customer and the market and say, we need more money for our games. We know you hate it. We know you're going to be pissed. We know you're going to throw a fit, and it's probably justified, but we're going to ask for more money for our games. Why Sony is willing to do that more so than anything else is because Sony is well aware of that fact. Microsoft doesn't have this. No one has this. We have this. And we know the cost of it. And it would be just the most ironic thing in the world if the very thing that people loved about PlayStation, somehow, some way in the long run, is the thing that begins to erode them from the inside out. It would be very sad. It would be depressing. But this is where the concern lies. Now, one other thing here is knowing that Microsoft is well aware of, like, holy shit, look at what Naughty Dog is doing over there. Microsoft is well aware of this. Sony is going to be in trouble one day if, and it's a big if Microsoft strikes gold, or like they just figure it out, and it's like suddenly the pieces fall into place from like, we know how to make a game like that now. And they make a game like that on that level, with that level of prestige, winning those types of awards. The day they drop something like that from their studios into Game Pass, well, that's when Sony is going to have to really, I don't know, I guess pray that they have a successful live service game at that point. And yeah, man, I know it's a lot, and I know it's a lot. I know it's overwhelming, and I know I'm all over the place. But in conclusion, video game development costs are too damn high, and therefore the price of our video games are seemingly too damn high, or going to get even higher. What is the solution, people? Hellblade, you guys think it'll be Hellblade 2? Well, it could be. Yeah, no, dude, that's very fast. I mean, let me tell you, if Hellblade 2 comes out and people are like, dude, this is that moment. This is that fucking banger, triple A-ness, fucking, this is next level quality that we've been waiting to get from Microsoft, and they drop it in the game as it's winning a bunch of awards. If that's what Hellblade 2 is, I'm not convinced, but if I think it'll be very good, but I don't know if it'll be that next level. It'd be great if it is, because I'm looking forward to it. Oh man, is that going to light a fire under Sony? Now, maybe not. Maybe Sony, I don't know. Sony could sit back and be like, well, that's just, you got lucky, Microsoft. That's the thing. That is the competition I want to see. But man, that's going to drive Sony to be like, you know what? Fuck it. We need to make our budget $500 million. Fuck it. Charge those motherfuckers $100 for that game. This is what we're doing. This is how we move forward. Like, Sony's going to snap, man. No, I'm being, over the top, of course. But All right, let me read these super chats. Thank you guys for um thank you for waiting patiently for those who donated a super chat. I volunteer to make you a free Triple Anus t-shirt. I don't know, maybe that's what I'll put that on some of my merch. Who would wear that? I mean, seriously. If I put some merch out that has like a shirt, like, on the right pocket side it says you know, Triple Anus. Is anybody really gonna wear that? Or put out a mug that says Triple Anus on it. All right. Where am I at here? Where am I at? I'm sorry. I'm a little okay. So I think I'm at Venino. You're saying MBG Microsoft is doing a better job on that. They offer early access, buying a deluxe for extra money. Sony needs to do the FOMO. It's massive in gaming. Yeah. To be fair, Sony's a lot. Yeah, they're not really exploiting their games like that in the way that they could. They really could go that direction where it's like, I don't know, like they could have done it with Spider-Man 2 where it's like pay $100 for the, extra blah 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 premium edition and you get like 4 or 5 days early access. I mean, that would have I don't want them to do that, but you got to admit like that you could see why it works. It does work. It's a shitty but an extremely effective tactic that they know people will. They kind of did that. They brought it up to like $80 for the digital deluxe edition, I think, for the suits. But at least even then, it's like you're still getting the game at the same time, But I get what you're saying. Microsoft kind of has been doing that, and it seemingly is working for them to a certain extent. The contextual gamer, you're saying if a game is on Game Pass for Xbox but not on PlayStation, and most games make the majority of their sales on PlayStation, how does that make it a success due to Xbox? All right, so let me read this again so I fully understand it. If a game is on Game Pass for Xbox but not on PlayStation, and most games make the majority of their sales on PlayStation, how does it make it okay? See, this is why you notice when Microsoft for their exclusive games, they don't announce sales. They announce how many players. It's because it aligns with their goals for Game Pass. This is why PlayStation announces sales because PlayStation announcing a number of players that have played Spider-Man it just doesn't really align. Like it just wouldn't make sense for them to do that because it's like, so that's how many people bought the game. Well, yeah, because that's the only way you can access it, by buying it. So if they were to say, here's how many players, the thing about announcing numbers like Microsoft does for their games is they have to do it that way because somebody can subscribe for a month to Game Pass, play a game like Forza or whatever, and then never subscribe again. But it's like, well, you are now a statistic that we can leverage to say we had like, I don't know, like 15 million people played Forza Horizon. And it's like, who knows where that comes from? But the point is, it's all in the name of convincing everybody, mainly investors, see, like Game Pass produces. See how many people we get playing our games in Game Pass? And those are potential revenue targets where we could sell them microtransactions. They'll stay subscribed. I mean, it goes in many different directions for them, but that's why, man. It's because Microsoft's success lies in subscriber count. So therefore, announcing how many players are playing their games, it paints a much brighter picture. And it makes sense for them to do that. If they came out and announced their sales numbers, people would probably be like, oh man, that's not good. But that's the thing, is it doesn't matter to Microsoft. And Microsoft, what Microsoft is trying to do for their investors right now, and this is, I've come to this conclusion as well. Microsoft is trying to convince their investors that, like, guys, like, trust us. Like, sales and shit like that, they don't matter. They don't. Like, that's not the future. That's not what's going to matter in the next 5 to 10 years. Trust us. But what makes it so hard for the investors to fully be on board with that, and why they need convincing, is because, well, Sony's the market leader, and they're announcing sales, and they're bragging about it, and Nintendo is bragging about their sales. It's like, it seems like you guys are the only ones. So, it's kind of an uphill battle to a small extent for Microsoft in that area, but that's why, man. That's why a game that is locked to Microsoft's ecosystem through Game Pass and not on PlayStation can be considered a success. But that's the thing, though. Like, that's the question I have for you, man. I mean, like, I got to ask this question. Somebody mentioned earlier that Liza P. Well, hold on. Let me get my shit straight here before I make any claims. Guys, one more time. What is the name of the CEO of the developer that made Liza P? Give me it one more time, because I just want to make sure, because I want to point this out here. Liza P director. Nothing came up. Because I'm on their G1 Choi. There's so many that come up. God damn it. All right, well, fuck. I don't know why I can't find this. Let me just say this. When they come out and they say Game Pass helped us, right? Game Pass helped our game. People need to understand that they were paid for that. I want you to picture a game like Game Pass. Jesus. Somebody help me. A game like Liza P. Imagine it didn't sell on PlayStation. Like, it's not available on PlayStation. It's only releasing on Xbox and Game Pass. Right? Would they still say, yeah, it was good, it was a success? Guess what? Probably, yeah. And you know why? Because they were paid. That's the point, dude. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that the overwhelming majority of their success came, like, sales-wise, came from PlayStation and probably PC. Now, Game Pass to them, I wouldn't be surprised if it boosted their sales on Xbox, where it's like, yeah, people decide they want to buy it because they got to try it. Absolutely, yes. But this is just where, when we talk about the measurement of success, man, like, I am not worried about Microsoft and their games anymore, because it's obvious Microsoft will brute force their way with money, for as long as they need to, and support as many developers and studios as they need to get their games to be successful, so it can help out Game Pass. If their game's helping Game Pass, then then Game Pass is helping their game, because they're being paid for it. Like, that's how it works. But with the more traditional model, the reason why studios and developers still mostly stick to the traditional model, and they still kind of avoid subscription services, is because, like, the only way they're going to be okay with being on there, and it can be deemed a success, is they have to be paid. That, like, there's just no way around that. The money's got to come from somewhere. Whether that's Microsoft or Sony or the customer themselves, it's got to come from somewhere. There's never been a game that was deemed a success that didn't make money, as far as I'm aware. So this is, and I know some people are taking this as like a slight towards Game Pass. It's not. I'm just saying that, like, at the end of the day, dude, when it comes to measuring, like, what makes a game successful, what makes a game not successful, it is the money it made. That's it. That's literally it. It doesn't go beyond that. And the only question that we really need answered is, where's the money coming from? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Paul, just to be clear, Ratchet and Clank apparently did make money. We went over that earlier. Now, again, I'm not, dude, it's not problematic in my opinion if Microsoft is covering the cost. Again, I'm shocked. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, you know, and you got access to Liza P through there, and you don't have to pay anything, and that's a great reason to feel good about it. Yeah. And Microsoft paid for that for you. Good shit. On PlayStation, I had to pay full price for that game. Granted, I was perfectly fine doing so because I wanted to buy a physical copy anyway. But I expected to pay for it anyway, you know? And it's like, I'm cool with that too. Because the game, like, the only time I ever feel bad about paying for a game is if I ever feel like it wasn't worth the money. You know what game I regret buying? Lords of the Fallen. That was not worth $70, in my opinion. That's a game that it's like, I would have preferred to actually play something like that on a PlayStation Plus or something and try it out. But MBG, Ubisoft, and EA also do day one games on their subscriptions. Yeah, but not for all of their games. I don't think so. But anyway, but just, you know, to get back to the super chat here, the question that was asked is like, how can a game that's on Game Pass or Xbox only and not on PlayStation, where it would likely sell, how can it be deemed a success? That's how. It's because Microsoft pays the studio, pays the development teams, even for their own games. Like, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but like, again, do you know how many millions of sales Starfield probably lost because it was on Game Pass? But let me ask you, who the fuck cares? Literally no one. Bethesda doesn't give a fuck. Dude, we were bought by Microsoft. We're good. We don't got to worry anymore. Microsoft doesn't give a fuck because they're like, this will just help us get some subs. That's all we care about. And the player doesn't care either because they're like, well, fuck, I don't care how well the game sells. Like, just give me access to it. And it's the trifecta right there. But things aren't that simple on the PlayStation side. They can't be. For reasons we just talked about extensively. Oh my God. Sounds like a win-win-win. I mean, it kind of is. That's the crazy part about it. See, that's why I'm saying. Do you see why Sony is gripping? They're gripping the one thing that they have, their greatest, I guess you could say, weapon that they wield against Microsoft. They're like doubling down on that even further. Because because think about it, man. Like, look, I have a really awkward itch. I'm not trying to turn this into, I'm going to shit on Starfield. I'm not. I have no problems with Starfield, but I remember the expectation people had for that game. All right. A lot of Xbox fans were like, this is the moment. You remember that moment I talked about earlier where Microsoft finally has that high prestige, I mean, just like next level fucking game that's going to shut everybody up and be like, see, we can do it too. Everybody thought that was going to be Starfield, and it wasn't. And so we go on to the next one. And I bet you Sony was like, Whoa, that was a close one, man. Like they almost had us going there for a second. That's right. That's what Sony has that Microsoft still can't touch. And that is why Sony is digging in. They're digging their heels in further and saying, well, this is what we got, man. This is what makes people buy our games. The quality. The excitement of it, right? The triple A-ness greatness, the next level stuff. When's Microsoft going to have that? Well, they're working on it. But maybe, I don't know. They got Call of Duty now, so it's like, well, fuck, man. I don't know. Maybe Microsoft doesn't give a shit anymore. They got fucking Call of Duty. What do they got to worry about, you know? I mean, really, what do they have to worry about when you got Call of Duty? You're saying nickel and diming won't be enough for Sony anyway. No, I agree with that. I don't think the nickel and diming approach is going to do it. I think it's just a kind of full-blown, like, we are the fucking premium game maker with the premium console and the premium products. So if you want access, you got to pay the premium. And I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work either. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know what the answer is. This right here is why Jim Ryan retired, people. This right here is why Jim retired. Because he's like, this shit is complicated and I'm tired. You guys are going to have to find somebody else to deal with this shit. He's cashing out, bro. And whoever the next PlayStation CEO is, this is what they have to tackle. And that's a tough problem, man. I don't know the solution. Fuck, man. If I knew the solution, Sony would probably hire me, but I don't know what the solution is. The contextual gamer, you're saying, or sorry, I read that one already. We got New Soul 9. You're saying, I was going to say, MBG, if they need to pivot to the GamePass model, they need someone like Apple or Google to support them financially to approach this model if their live services don't succeed. I am in agreement with that, yeah. That would, let me tell you, man. Let me just tell you how fucking wild that would be. I don't think it's realistic right now, but in the future, you know, if Sony really is like, this is the only way we survive, let me tell you the conversations that will be had. I mean, basically Sony says, we got to do what Microsoft's doing and we're going to partner with Google or Apple and they're going to financially back us. And essentially, oh my God, that would be, dude, at that point, yeah, Sony. The reason why I don't think Sony is going to do that anytime soon is because that requires them to basically take a fucking knee. Do people realize that? Like, that is Sony taking a knee and saying, Microsoft, you've beaten us, and now we need Apple. Because at that point, it's not Sony against Microsoft, it's Apple against Microsoft. It's Google against Microsoft. It's one of those, you know, again, juggernaut companies, and it would be Sony just admitting that we can't compete with you. And that would be wild. That would be absolutely wild. I don't know how that would look. I guess the way that would work is Sony would probably have to convince Apple or Google, and Sony would convince them by basically saying, guys, Microsoft is going to take over this market. You guys can leverage the PlayStation brand, which we have, and our studios and our talent and our expertise. You can leverage it to take them on. You know? That, I know that sounds unrealistic, but I think that's more realistic than people realize. If Sony can't figure out a solution, they may have no choice. Then it's Google PlayStation. Yeah, I don't know how a move like that. I don't know if, I mean, that would be a, I don't know what the terms of something like that would look like. You're saying they wouldn't be interested. They would want a straight out acquisition. Yeah, that could be another problem too. You might be right about that. The idea that they would just be so willing to be like, yeah, we'll partner with you. Because in this case, Sony would be the one in trouble. If Sony had to turn to Apple or Google, Sony would be the one in trouble. So they don't really have much leverage. Um, but again, that's why I don't see that happening anytime soon. Like to me, that would be a like emergency like break glass situation. Like Sony is actually free falling and they don't have a parachute, and it's real bad. It's real bad. I think that's the only time they would ever even consider something like that. But because this is why, man, like when certain analysts say like, yeah, I don't think Sony can take Microsoft on. It's like, well, I mean, $1 billion taking on $1 trillion company. Good luck. It's not, a fair fight more likely is $1 trillion company versus $1 trillion company. But see, that's the thing, man. It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating because Sony is they're stuck. You can tell Sony's a little bit stubborn. I don't know if people realize that. I'm sure most people do, but you can tell Sony's a little bit stubborn in that sense where they're like, nah, we can still take them. And you can't blame them. I get it. It's like, dude, look, they're the fucking market leader. But it's the AAA game. It's the AAA game budgets that concern me. Bring Sean Layden back. See what he'll do. Do it, Sony. Jay the Gamer, you're saying the Xbox Series X and S is in seventh for the most played platform in 2023, behind the PC, the Switch, PS4, PS5, PS3, Xbox One. The source is how long to beat. That's crazy. Hold on, Xbox One. There's no way the Xbox One is ahead of the PS4 and PS5 and Switch and PC. But I get what you're saying. You're basically saying like it's even. You're telling me the Series X consoles are behind the Xbox One in terms of the most played platforms? That's very strange. I didn't know that though. You're saying the source is how long to beat. Yeah, but I imagine they only have a certain pool. That's not necessarily indicative of the. At least that's my assumption. That is kind of crazy though. I gotta admit. You're saying consoles don't matter. The Xbox ecosystem has Xbox making more profit than Sony. I don't want to say that console sales don't matter at all. I think they still matter. I just think again, it's like I don't know. It's an awkward time. It's an awkward time for everybody, frankly. No, Miguel, I'm not. I'm not making hoodies that say that. That's ridiculous, bro. Julian. All right, I didn't realize how behind I am here. Julian, you're saying the question we should be asking: why do Sony games cost $300 million to make, while Alan Wake 2, a technical masterpiece, was made for 50? Yeah, that's a question I would love. I would love further insight into this. Like my assumption is there has to be a good reason. Like there has to be something, because there's no way Sony would just be dumping this money. Dude, that would be horrific if we found that out. Like there's just it like to me that is we heard that Connie Booth got fired and she was a producer, okay? Connie Booth was a producer at PlayStation since the beginning. I mean, the beginning. She's been there the entire time, and she apparently just got fired. And wouldn't it be some fucking shit if we found out? I don't think we could find out, but if the truth of the matter, and this is just purely speculative, but you're asking a good question here. Why does it cost this much, Sony? What if it's, dude, the money has been mismanaged out the ass here? That these budgets should not be anywhere near what they are, and yet they are. And because that's the thing, like you have to ask that question. Like, I mean, so for Spider-Man, people were saying that the reason why the budget for like Spider-Man is so high is licensing, and that's fair. But you explain The Last of Us, explain Horizon. Horizon cost $220 million to make. Studio location matters in dev costs. I mean, yeah, you do just, I don't know. I wish I had the answer to that question, dude. I'm not saying the money's being mismanaged. I doubt that. I mean, that would be a hell of a twist. It's like it turns out that the thing that eroded Sony's leadership from inside out is they just were like the higher ups at Sony found out, yo, what the, like, you guys are mismanaging our money. What are you doing? You could argue money's been mismanaged for Sony. Look at Bungie, 3.6 billion gone. You know what Sony could have done game development wise with that 3.6 billion? So there definitely is mismanagement in terms of finances at Sony PlayStation. Absolutely. I feel like my son is trying to break into my room right now. He's like slamming on the door. Kind of scared me for a second there. Thought it was Phil Spencer about to break down my door with an axe. Or Jim Ryan. Stop talking so much shit on Sony. But yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like, because keep in mind, dude. Yeah, it's Jim Ryan. Keep in mind, Hiroki Totoki is the interim CEO, and he is the CFO of Sony. You know, the guy that manages money. He's going to be taking charge of PlayStation now. And I almost wonder if he just basically looked at everything and was like, no. Like, there's a lot of money going in all these different things, and that's not happening anymore. That could explain, to an extent, why we're seeing some of the big shifts that we're seeing. It could just simply be that we're trying to tighten up the belt here. I don't know. But yeah, I do want answers as well, man. Because if that is the thorn in Sony's side, is we can't stop the development of these AAA games, but the cost of these AAA games is skyrocketing. I would like to know, like, well, where is that money going? It's a good question. I have yet to find an answer. Henry 3K, member for 8 months, says, "Hey MBG, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm perfectly fine with smaller budget games to get more variety a little sooner. I hope Sony wises up and do good by the people." I hope so too. Like, that's the thing. I want to make it clear, like, I don't want the cost just dumped on us if it doesn't have to be. Like, if it's justified, fine. It's why it's like I talked about the Spider-Man 3 thing yesterday, where it's like $50 one year, $50 the next year. It's like, okay, but is it going to be worth it? If it feels worth it and it feels justified and it doesn't just feel like you're giving me less and asking for more, then fine. If you're going to ask me for more, I also expect more as well. And if that can be met, then that works. But, you know, you mentioned here that you would like to see smaller games, more variety a little sooner. I really don't know if that's going to, I think that would help Sony. Like, I think it would be good to try to have a few smaller projects in there to kind of complement the bigger ones, certainly. But I'm not entirely sure that that's the direction they're going to go in. For better or for worse. I'm not convinced at this moment in time. So, you're saying still remember 2019 MBG who loves Hellblade 1. Is that Mr. Hamster? But yes, I remember too. I really did enjoy Hellblade 1, man. I did. Loved it. So thank you for that. So we have New Soul 9. He says, MBG, this goes back to Matt Booty's quote in 2019, quote, "We will spend Sony out of business to beat them," end quote. This further solidifies that quote as time goes by. Yeah, I do think that was a very damning thing to say and a very revealing thing. But I also kind of think, like, I don't know. I feel like there's unnecessary aggression in that quote. And maybe Phil Spencer is aware of that. Maybe the higher ups at Microsoft are aware of that. And maybe this is why Matt Booty is not in Phil Spencer's position, because it's like, if you're going to pursue what Microsoft is pursuing, I don't know that they have to worry about Sony that much. Like they still do, but it's like like their biggest concern is not spending Sony out of business to beat them. Their biggest concern is how long is this going to take? Like we're building something from the ground up and we're going to be the first ones doing it. We don't know if it's going to work. It's unproven and we don't even know how much money it's going to require. So it's like when you're asking questions like that, I don't know that, you know, beating Sony is the biggest concern at that point, because it's like, well, if you succeed in your endeavor, Sony's not going to be part of the, they're not going to be really part of your conversation anymore, because you're just going to be in your own place essentially where no one else is. So I think that's, again, because that's Matt Booty, man. Like that's not Phil Spencer. That's not Satya Nadella. And So You says, yes, it's Mr. Hamster. Long time no see, man. How you doing? I'm doing good. Yeah, I remember Mr. Hamster. The question is, who else here remembers Mr. Hamster? My God, dude. Honestly, you're making me feel a little old here. In terms of like, man, I did not. It's crazy how much time goes by. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well also. But man, where's the time go? Where does the time go? About to be 2024. Oof. All right, let's see. So yeah, New Soul 9, it's anybody's guess, man. I see some people saying they remember. Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Love to see it. B Flesher says MBG, the only downside to the smaller budget of Ghost of Tsushima was the cutscenes being two people standing around and asset quality. No one cared about either. Think about Elden Ring's visuals too. Yeah, that's a good point. See, again, like I do think that Sony can find great success by sticking to smaller budgets with their AAA games, but I just maybe the truth is Sony just fears that there isn't actual growth in that. I mean, I've been talking about every other possibility here, but maybe it's as simple as, well, if we want to grow the way that we want to grow, which is significantly, we want to make good progress, we have to invest in it, right? I mean, that kind of is just the basic fundamental nature of doing business, trying to get anything to succeed, but I think you're right, man. I think a lot of people are very forgiving of stuff like that. But sometimes I'm not so sure because, again, like I just can't help but think about when we saw Spider-Man at the showcase this year and people were just all fucking over it, where it's like, dude, like, what the hell, man? Like, people are being brutal for, like, I don't know. Maybe people were just taking out their frustration on Spider-Man 2 because of the showcase. Dark Horse, you're saying they signed a bad deal with Marvel. Could you elaborate on that? Because that's the first time I'm seeing that take. I'm curious what the reasoning is behind that. Tim Shrimp, excuse me. You're saying this is already ridiculous. It is $70 in America. It's $125 here. If they increase the price more, say to $90 in America, then it's going to be $147 in Australia. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm worried about, like, Sony. What are you going to do here, man? Because it's not going to be good. I really think Sony might, if they try to increase the price again, even in the next 4 to 5 years, they are taking a really big chance. Irfan, you're saying CS is coming up January 8th. We will hear more from Sony there. That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. PlayStation has had a bigger and bigger presence at CES every year. And I guess we'll still see Jim Ryan, huh? Jim isn't retiring until March. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he should show up and present for PlayStation again. Maybe I guess that'll be the last time we see him. That'll be his exit. I'm assuming. I'm just assuming he'll show up. I should stream that. Celebrate saying goodbye to Jim. We'll miss you, Jim. Or maybe not. Some people won't, um but yeah, Tim Shrimp, I feel you, man. Like that's the thing. I don't like when people kind of frame my discussions as in a way that makes it seem, and you're not doing this, to be clear, but I see this from time to time where people try to frame my discussions about stuff like this as like, yeah, I just want to give Sony all my money and they can charge me however much they want. I don't feel that way. Like I value my money as well, like I'm not trying to just blow all my money, especially if it feels like it's not worth it on stuff. Um I just I feel like I have enough knowledge as to like what's going on with the gaming industry, and AAA game development to an extent. I don't have all the knowledge, but enough to be able to just kind of understand, like for example, why games cost $70 and why some gaming CEOs are out here being like it's still kind of not enough, like it just doesn't match. I understand the consumer side as well, though. I like from exact what you're saying. Like it's the harsh truth, I think, for video games. At least it has been this way for a long time, and maybe this is again kind of speaking to the disruptive nature of Microsoft. Is video games have always been kind of a luxury thing, and unless you're playing on like free to play games on your phone or something, but like high quality premium AAA video games, it's a luxury thing, and I think that's becoming more so true. And I think that's why Microsoft might have a hard time to an extent achieving what they want to achieve, to where Sony might still be betting on the right horse potentially because Microsoft can give you a great deal and tell you we can give you AAA game quality without having to pay a premium price for it. But who else can? Is Capcom doing that? Is Take-Two Interactive doing that? Is EA doing that? And I understand somebody said earlier that, well, Ubisoft and EA, they're putting some of their games in their services. But yeah, but come on. It's nowhere near the same rate at which Microsoft is doing it, and it's like they're very careful and meticulous in how they do it. They get their sales through sales. Like they make their money through sales is what I mean to say. That's just the truth of it. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope it doesn't have to go any higher because that would suck, man. You're saying if Sony goes to $80 a game, everyone is going to Game Pass. I wouldn't be so sure, Jay the Gamer. That's the thing. Like if you had to bet on that, I mean, like if you had to truly make a bet on that, like you had to bet $5,000 that Sony sales are going to tank so bad that they're going to regret. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I'm just saying, dude. You will see people bitch up a storm, but I'm fairly certain. Again, I'm not saying this means they should, but I'm fairly certain if Sony, Capcom, EA, Take-Two, if they all came out and said we're charging $80 for our games, you wouldn't see you would see maybe a difference, but not a huge difference. Like most people would, because I don't know, man. I'm just pretty confident in that. I just don't think that would be the point where people say I'm not buying video games anymore. I don't think so. I think a lot of people would, but not everybody. Not enough to cause some kind of collapse. Dark Horse, you're saying Marvel is getting so much minimum budget must be 130 million, and Marvel gets a 30 million fee and they get royalties. That would be a real shame if in the end we find out that this is a bad deal for Sony. I hope not. And so you again saying, damn, all the Press X podcasts, good memories came back. Yeah, man. We've evolved. Press X podcast has evolved. Good times, man. Good times. Let's see. Figuratively literal, you're saying subscription services can lose their subscriber count very quickly too due to the easy buy-in. That's what many services are facing, so it's unstable. Well, that's the whole thing here, because you're totally right about that, and that's not even something I brought up. You know, um, this is what I mean. Like, what do you think is riskier? Turning to, let's say, 100 million users that bought consoles and saying, we need you to pay $10 more than what you're paying for games. We need you to pay $80. Do you think that's less stable and more risky than turning to billions of people who, or hundreds of millions of people, maybe not billions, but hundreds of millions of people who have paid $0 for your games and saying, please pay us $11, but continue to do so every month? Or does it seem like it almost kind of cancels each other out, where it's actually they both have risk involved and neither of them are a guarantee? If Sony and all publishers decide we're going to charge $80 for our game, it's a risk, it's a gamble. Like, are you sure the market's going to respond okay to that and not blow up? Well, no, but we'll see what happens. We think there's a pretty good chance it'll be okay. Same thing with Microsoft saying, are you sure that it's a good idea to, condition a market to not have to buy games and then try to turn to a market that isn't willing to buy games and then ask them to give you $11 a month every single month? Well, no, we don't know. Maybe if we take the value angle, maybe. But you're absolutely right. It is. We are seeing that. That's what I think is kind of wild about people who are so quick to, like, I understand again from the consumer level, but people who are so quick to assume that the subscription model is the way forward for these companies. It's like, are you not paying attention to what's going on to these subscription services right now? I'm not talking about GamePass. I'm talking about like every other subscription service. It's like they're running into newfound problems and they now have to find different solutions. And some of them are seemingly doing it more gracefully than others. Give me 1 second. Oh, Leia was yelling for me to let her out. But yeah, it's, there's no guarantee either way, man. Tim Shrimp, you're saying yes, Ubisoft does all their games, all day one games that they make. Are you see? That's crazy to me. How do I not know that? Are they like not marketing this shit at all? That is literal news to me. Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me know. I didn't know that. That's dude, that's wild. So hold on though. How much is Ubisoft Plus? Is that what it's called? How much is that a month? EA Pro 2. It's 15 a month. Oh. Yeah, that's kind of a lot. Okay. All right. Somebody's saying Toolman's saying $17.99. Only available on PC and Xbox. I wonder if that's why I didn't know about it. Yeah. If you want cross platforms. Yeah, I had no idea. EA Pro 2. Well, see, that's the thing too. See that? I wonder if this is why it's looking even more unstable for sub services to an extent, because it's like, I don't know, man. That price for just and one other question, just because I'm not in the loop. Just Ubisoft games? That's it. Like, you don't get any third party games. It's just Ubisoft. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I don't think, to me, that doesn't sound worth it. Like, at least if you compare it to something like Game Pass. Yeah, it seems like it's a tougher sell. And it seems like they're trying to make sure they make money off of it. Game Pass Ultimate, you get them. That's not bad. That's smart on Microsoft's part, trying to kind of like bundle in other services. Interesting stuff, yeah. Because that's still a big question with the gaming industry today. The true impact that gaming subscription services are going to end up having. $15 for you to rent it. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just buy it. Big news, MBG. Matt Booty is the new ABK head. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. I'm sorry. It's just Matt Booty. I thought I had a joke there, but I didn't. It's just Matt Booty, bro. He's the... All right. We got to talk about that for a moment. We'll move on. So, yeah, that's going to be a kind of a topic that I'm going to interject here. Let me finish with these super chats and move on. Fernando, you're saying Sony make their games expensive because they want. They do cinematic games with Hollywood actors and heavy marketing. They suspended a truck for Spider-Man 2. Dude, that's so true, man. Some of the marketing is just ridiculous. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I guess you're right. They are taking a more Hollywood-esque approach with their games to an extent, certainly. And so I guess maybe that's could be part of it as well, dude. Absolutely. So Fernando, thank you, bud. Let me go check this news. Hold on. I think I might scratch. I don't know. There's other topics I want to get to though. Damn it. All right, let me see if I can find this though. This is like breaking news, and this is interesting to me. Uh-oh. Guys, I think Sony's giving up on PSVR 2. Sony Interactive Entertainment Senior Vice President, Head of Global Marketing, Eric Lampel, on PSVR 2. Quote, it's a bit of a challenging category right now. Sales are going well. I think there was a higher expectation generally for what VR would do to gaming. Or maybe maybe they're not giving up on it, but I don't know. How what vibes are you guys getting from that? Like, I'm getting the vibe of like, yeah, we expected this shit to do more, and it's really not, which is kind of sad, man. Don't give up, Sony. I'm telling you, Sony, don't give up. Don't. You can't. Like, come on, bro. If I'm telling you, if Capcom can do what they did for Resident Evil 4 for PSVR 2, you guys can do some great things. And we got Michael Stanbrook coming out of nowhere, longtime member, dropping a membership gift, keeping the membership train going, bringing us up to 27 members. Guys, I want to see some W's flowing in the chat for Michael. Still keeping this membership train rolling today, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the support you guys show. All right, so here we go. Shinobi602 reports Bobby Kotick is departing Activision Blizzard at the end of December after nearly 33 years. Activision leadership will report to Xbox head of game content and studios, Matt Booty. The Verge is reporting this. Let me read what The Verge is saying. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick is stepping down officially December 29th. Microsoft has not appointed a direct replacement and instead has rolled its suite of Activision Blizzard executives, including Blizzard President Mike Ybarra, Activision Publishing President Rob Kostich, and Activision Blizzard Vice Chair Thomas Tipple under Microsoft's Game Content and Studios President Matt Booty. Kotick's departure comes just 2 months after some big Xbox leadership changes that saw Sarah Bond promoted to Xbox President, leading all Xbox platform and hardware work. and Matt Booty promoted to president of game content and studios, including overseeing Bethesda and ZeniMax Studios. Now Booty is getting even more responsibilities with Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, and Xbox Game Studios, all under his watch. Oh my God. That is crazy. This man, this one man, Matt Booty, has to be responsible for all of Xbox Game Studios, all of Bethesda Game Studios, and all of Activision Blizzard Studios. That is a mistake. I can assure you, Microsoft is making a mistake. No offense to Matt Booty. No, this should not be a one-person job. I think it's just too much. That's just too much. And maybe they'll bring somebody else on, but god damn, that's crazy, dude. And you know what the scariest part is? I'm not trying to doom and gloom, but dude, this is I'm shocked. Like, I am shocked that this is what they're doing. The craziest part about this is Bobby, I want you to pay attention to the part that I just read. Bobby Kotick is stepping down after 33 years. Dude, you're just going to throw Matt Booty in like that? Like, there you go, man. Good luck. Best of luck to you. Go do what Bobby did for 33 years. By the way, can you manage these other studios too? That's crazy. I mean, yeah, it's good that Bobby's going, but there's no denying he knew what he was doing, man. And I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying that Matt Booty's going to fail. I just think that's crazy. How many studios is that? You're telling me Matt Booty's managing 40 plus studios? He's overseeing 40 plus studios. Impossible. I don't care who you are. You're not, there's no way. There's no way you're managing 40 plus studios, bro. That is insanity. Well, best of luck to him, man. Who knows? Who knows? This is his time to shine, bro. This is Matt Booty's time to shine. Matt Booty's ready to come out and be like, I'm going to show the world. The overseer, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's not as much responsibility as I think it is. It sounds, I will say though, that sounds like a lot. Dude, if I was in his shoes, I would be sweating bullets. I would. Like, dude, I have to manage Bethesda, and now you want me to fucking manage Call of Duty? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, that is a lot of pressure. That's like make or break pressure right there. So we're gonna find out what Matt Booty's really made of. Yeah, maybe a hands-off approach. Well, I think it's safe to say Matt Booty did a pretty good job with Minecraft, right? Like, I think he was in charge of Minecraft this entire time, and he seemed to have ensured that it stayed pretty healthy. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Todd Howard manages Bethesda. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess in the hierarchy of things, but it's like, that's the thing, man, is Matt Booty has to be on top of all of this. But I guess, the idea here is that the leadership structure that's in place for Bethesda, Xbox Game Studios, and Activision Blizzard, they're all kind of autonomous. And so maybe they'll be a little bit easier to manage if you're in Matt Booty's position, because it's like, well, you know, if Bethesda's having a problem, that doesn't mean we're having a problem over here. And, it's like maybe he doesn't have to solve the problem directly, but he has to, like, oversee it. If there is a problem, here's what we should do. I'll tell you this, though. To me, this is going to be the thing to look out for in the coming years. I do not know how Microsoft is going to properly manage Activision Blizzard. Because I understand, again, I've said this before, but it's certainly worth saying now, Bobby Kotick is officially out. Not the most surprising thing. But this is a well-oiled, brutal, nonstop fucking machine that has been meticulously crafted by a singular CEO and leadership table for the past, like, 20 years. Good luck. Good luck, man. You're saying read Matt Booty's memo. It explains this. I didn't know he put. Let me see. Okay, here's the memo from Matt Booty. Oh, okay. I didn't see this. Thank you for letting me know about that. I was actually not going to look further. I should probably scroll down a little bit more next time. The Leninator FFC needs a membership, guys. Help him out. He's like, God damn, my membership ran out. What am I going to do? I don't know why I'm talking like that. All right, hold on. I'm going to read that in just a sec. Sorry, I've got some technical difficulties over here. All right. Herman's going to be under pressure when Jim goes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, Herman Hulse is already under a ton of pressure. Like, get your shit together, Herman. Get it together, bro. All right, Matt Booty's memo says, today we are delighted to welcome the talented game development teams from Activision Publishing, Blizzard, and King to our game studios and content organization. Together with Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda, our studios organization will continue our mission to build world-class games that entertain and inspire players to create lasting communities of dedicated fans. In addition, today we are announcing Jill Braff as head of ZeniMax/Bethesda Studios. Okay. Jill has a wealth of experience in games and entertainment with previous roles at Nintendo, Sega, Glue Mobile, Home Shopping Network, and at Warner Bros., building the online and marketing business for the Ellen DeGeneres show. This was our leader. She was our leader for the integration work with ZeniMax and Bethesda joined Xbox, and through that work, she will come to know many of their teams and leaders well. Jill will be responsible for leading the ZeniMax Bethesda game development teams, which will continue to operate as limited integration entities, as well as continuing to oversee the Microsoft Casual Games team. Reporting to Jill will be Todd Howard, Todd Vaughn, Matt Fire, and Paul Jensen and Heather Cooper. Jamie Leader will remain in his role as CEO of ZeniMax. Okay, this is getting like, Jesus, this sounds like a fucking nightmare, bro. All right, let me read what Phil Spencer said. Earlier today, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick formally announced that Friday, December 29, 2023 will be his last day at Microsoft Gaming. Under Bobby's watch, Activision Blizzard in its many incarnations has been an enduring pillar of video games, whether it's Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, Saga, or any number of other titles. His teams have created beloved franchises and entertained hundreds of millions of players for decades. I'd like to thank Bobby for his invaluable contributions to the industry, his partnership in closing the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and his collaboration following the close. And I wish him and his family the very best in the next chapter. With Bobby's impending departure, we are taking the next step in aligning Activision Blizzard with Microsoft Gaming by making the following organizational changes. Thomas Tipple, Vice Chairman, Activision Blizzard. The people that I just named, God, there's so many names here, will report to Matt Booty. The leadership teams for Activision, Publishing, Blizzard, and King will remain in place with no changes to the structure of how the studios and business units are run. For most of you, your day-to-day work will remain the same. It's still business as usual in bringing more groundbreaking experiences to more players around the world. At the leadership level, these changes will provide the clarity and accountability that is necessary to achieve our ambitious goals and foster a culture that is welcoming, empowering, and committed to gaming for everyone. We have an exciting 2024 lineup of games across Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard, King, and Xbox Game Studios, and I know we all look forward to sharing more details with our player communities when the time is right. Well, there we go. Now we know. We know exactly how Activision Blizzard is going to be run under Microsoft, and it's exactly what I suspected. It's, you guys got a good thing going. We just severed the head of the snake. Hopefully you guys can keep it going. We think you can. And we're going to find out. I mean, the biggest shocker to me would be if Activision Blizzard runs into no problems. You know, Bobby's gone, and no one's really taking his place right now. Maybe they'll have somebody take his place later on, but they're basically saying like just continue your day-to-day work. And who knows? I mean, it is a well-oiled machine, so I could see it. I could see Activision Blizzard doing extremely well for years to come. But my question is, when they run into problems, which they will eventually, it's Bobby Kotick's not going to be there anymore to solve those problems. Microsoft is going to solve their problems? I guess it's going to be Matt Booty, and if Matt Booty is having trouble, then I guess it would fall on Phil Spencer. And I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see. Can Activision Blizzard maintain themselves as they have been? Maybe they'll be better. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm just saying it's big shoes to fill. You're saying Bobby was creating problems? That could be true. Absolutely. Well, he was. Yeah. Clearly. Like he was causing a lot of See, here's the thing though. Doesn't anybody think that there's something a little strange about Call of Duty's success? I say this is a Call of Duty player, okay? Doesn't anybody find it a little like you just kind of look around and you're like, how? Right? Like it's just been 20 years and you guys have not faltered once. A 20-year streak. That is unfucking heard of. It's almost like too good to be true. Like how? And you know what I think? And we'll find out. I think what people are going to discover, what Microsoft might end up finding out the hard way, although again, Microsoft is so rich that it doesn't matter, but they might end up finding out that it turns out there were costs associated with getting this streak to where it is, that they're going to have to make some hard decisions to either keep that streak going or fucking realize or make a decision where it's like, hey, this is not nearly as sustainable as we thought it was. Like the cost associated with, there's like a hidden cost here is what I'm trying to say. And that's the thing, man, is, you say Bobby Kotick caused problems. He clearly, we learned shit about this person where it's like, yikes, this is not good. The question is, okay, well, what else may have been going on that we don't know about? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe, I mean, dude, maybe the guy was just a complete piece of shit and he wasn't even doing that good of a job. He's, anybody could do his job. Maybe that's plausible. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm very fascinated. I am curious to see how Call of Duty may or may not change under Bobby Booty or Matt Booty. Bobby Booty. Oh man, Bobby Booty. I've been streaming for too long, guys. You think it won't change? Bobby Booty. Somebody's got to make that image. It's like some kind of fucking horrific, I don't know, combination of Bobby Kotick and Matt Booty's face. Bobby Booty W. Today is the day that the name Bobby Booty was created on MBG's channel. What's in that cup? You don't want to know, bro. Nah, just coffee. I do have other topics, though, in all seriousness, that I do want to make sure I get to, because I didn't want this stream to be too long today. I want to make sure I cover the remaining topics. New Soul 9, you're saying MBG, that's what a game director is for. Matt Booty assigns the game director, and they report to Matt Booty if they need anything. There's a hierarchy. No, I'm aware. I know. There's these. This is the hierarchy and its structure. I'm well aware of that. It's worth noting that the entire culture at Activision Blizzard is going to change. Hopefully for the better. It sounds like the culture there was pretty garbage due to Bobby Kotick. All right. It sounded like the general culture was just not good and very toxic. And again, this is where it's like, we're going to find out if that was that a hidden cost. Well, guess what? You want a fucking new Call of Duty every year? Shit's not going to be rainbows and sunshine. People are going to get hurt. Like, I don't mean to laugh, but I was like, yo, people are going to get hurt because we need to get this shit. Like, this is a fucking well-oiled machine that does not stop. Don't get in its way. Is that it? Is that what we're going to find out? I'm telling you, the only question we need answered is this. Would Microsoft have delayed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3? If Microsoft was able to delay that game and it wasn't already like kind of at the finish line when they got them, would they delay it? Because I have a very strong feeling that there's going to be times in the future with this well-oiled Call of Duty machine where it's going to need more time. And it's going to come down to Matt Booty or Phil Spencer, somebody there to make the decision. You going to do this? You going to end this streak? And it'd be great if they did. I would celebrate that. I'd be like, damn, dude, they did the hard thing. They did the right thing. But we'll see, man. I'm not confident in Microsoft. Straight up. Like, I don't know why people are so confident in Microsoft all of a sudden, but I'm not. But I'm not betting. I don't want to see Call of Duty die. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any of these franchises die. I hope that they can make it work better. They're ending the yearly Call of Duty. That's not what we're hearing. Call of Duty 2024 is on track. Apparently, Call of Duty 2025 is going to be a Black Ops 2 sequel, which is weird. I don't even know what you call that. I think they have Call of Duty scheduled all the way up to 2027, pretty much all the way up to next gen. You think they're a thing until 2027? That would be a really interesting time for them to make the change. Anyway, all right, let me make sure I don't. So I want to go over this topic with you guys. It's a follow-up. I'm not going to be spending too much time on it, but it's an important follow-up. I wish I would have gotten to this earlier in the stream. Despite rumors that started spreading earlier this week, Sony is not making new plans for banning the resale of physical and digital PS5 games. After the PlayStation software usage terms were updated, focus mistakenly fell upon a clause that had been part of the terms of services for several years. Section 7 of the PlayStation software usage terms contains the term that reads, quote, "You must not resell either disc-based games or digital games unless expressly authorized by us, and if the publisher is another company, additionally by the publisher," end quote. Rumors Sony would prohibit the resale of physical games started when players began to look for differences between the old and new versions of the terms. And this phrase led some people to believe a ban on reselling games was going to be coming soon. This section is not new, however, and has been in the terms since the birth of the PlayStation franchise. Those who still have physical PlayStation 1 games in their collection will even find a similar phrase printed on the back of each box or each game case. While the phrase may exist within the software usage terms, it would be practically impossible to prevent the resale of physical games, and Sony seems to acknowledge this. When the phrase caused concern back in 2013, then president of SIE Worldwide Studios, Shuhei Yoshida, expressly gave his permission. Now check this out. Somebody found a tweet from November 12th, 2013 from Shuhei Yoshida. 2013, and this is exactly what he said. He said, quote, "If you are concerned about our European terms of service, we confirm that you are able to sell or share your disc PS4 products, including in Europe." So we fucking had an answer to this whole time from Shuhei Yoshida himself, straight up saying, yeah, you can fucking ignore that. And it's been there since the PS1, bro. So it just goes to show, man. You see what I'm saying? How quick people are to go for Sony's jugular over shit that's just, they don't even know what they're talking about. Somebody makes a video saying, Sony says it's illegal to sell your games. Before you know it, everybody's fucking losing it. Everybody's shitting on Sony. Fuck you, Sony. Fuck you. Oh, it turns out you're all wrong. It's been this way the whole time. No, but still, fuck you, Sony. Why you have it in there, bro? Why are you saying that shit? You trying to gaslight me? Huh? Don't sell that shit. That's illegal. By the way, go ahead, sell it. We don't care. What are you doing? The fuck is this? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just fucking around at this point. But no, in all seriousness though, um, it's good. It's good to get confirmation of this because I could understand. I could understand why some people because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that this was going all the way back to the PS1 era. To me, something sounded very suspicious about it. I'm like, I think there's more to this here. Like it just didn't sound right to me, and it just seemed like a very stupid thing. And I'm glad that I was right because even Shuhei Yoshida was like, "Yeah, don't worry, guys. You can sell your shit. You can trade your games. We don't care." And because I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why would they even say that? And I don't know. I guess maybe it is a European thing, but yeah, you got me, Hanzo. You got me. All right, I have another article here that I wanted to convey to you guys. Documents leaked by Insomniac Games hackers reveal that the studio is or was working on a Spider-Man multiplayer game. The studio previously confirmed that it was working on a multiplayer game while hiring for the project, but never revealed it. There's some confusion surrounding the game's current status. Billed as, now get this shit. This to me is like, what is going on here? The game was billed as Spider-Man meets GTA Online in an internal presentation. Insomniac planned to launch the game by 2026, but a leaked roadmap for the studio's upcoming projects has no mention of this multiplayer game, leading many to believe it may have been canceled. It also doesn't help that Sony's live service push, which was in full swing up until last year, ended up falling flat, at least for now, as numerous games are either canceled or delayed. Says we won't share the leaked presentation and images from the Spider-Man multiplayer game here, but they're hosted over on Reset Era and Reddit. According to the leak, the game would have received individual Marvel character themed seasons quarterly. Each season would have come with a battle pass and would have lasted 3 months, with each month bringing a new story act. The game would have received free content as well. So, yeah, a lot of like important details that I completely missed about this like online Spider-Man game. That's wild, dude. Spider-Man meets GTA Online. What? Does anybody else feel like this kind of could have been awesome? And I'm like really wondering if this game actually was canceled or not. They even had plans for like seasons and free content and story content. It's very, it makes you wonder, is this another scenario where they bit off more than they can chew and they realized we can only do this if this is the only thing we do? It sounds like it, man. Yeah, I saw the images. I saw like the concept art, and it looked pretty good. But I didn't know like about these details about it being like this full blown like. It sounds exactly like what Naughty Dog was doing with The Last of Us Online. And now I'm thinking like, well, that got canceled, and now I'm thinking this sounds like it may have gotten canceled as well. Boss likes his ears squeezed. He kind of does, but I like it too. It's like it like comforts me. I don't know why. It's because his ears are cold, and I like the way they feel. It feels like cold velvet, and he seems to like it too. So it works out. We got a good thing going here. New Soul 9, thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. You're saying also MBG Matt Booty's job is supposed to make sure the games are playable. Also, Matt Booty's position is supposed to replace the game director he put into place if they are not managing the studio as well. Yeah, it basically seems to me like there's like lines of defense here. Like I feel like that's kind of what you're describing, New Soul 9, and that's kind of what I'm getting. Like there's so many different layers of people where basically if it gets to Matt Booty, there might be a serious problem. You know what I mean? Like if it gets to a point where he has to step in, something's going really wrong. But there's like all these people in front of him that are there in place to ensure it doesn't get to that point. I'm sure Sony has a similar structure, or at least something relatively similar to it. But yeah, I think you're right, New Soul 9. It's it just sounds like on paper it just sounds crazy, because I think you're right. I probably over exaggerated a little bit earlier, where it's like he has to manage all these studios. He's not managing every single one intimately, but he does have to oversee, and basically he has a whole, he has 3 major publishing units that he has to kind of keep in check and make sure, like, is everything going okay over there, guys? I got to know. What about you over there? And it's just, I guess it's just one of these situations where if there's multiple fires at once, Matt Booty's going to have a really difficult time. But I assure you, he's definitely getting paid good. That's for sure. He's getting paid well. So, all right, I got one more article I got to read for you guys, okay, before we wrap this up. Inexpensive PlayStation PC ports only require an email approval to get funded. Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine already have PC builds. PlayStation PC ports have been released steadily these past few years, and it seems like the process to get any approved is relatively straightforward if the port does not cost too much to develop. According to leaked documents that emerged online today following the Insomniac ransomware attack, as reported by the Reset Era forums, any port that requires less than $30 million to develop only requires email approval to get funded. This was the case with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which cost far less than $30 million. Speaking about PlayStation PC ports, some of them have done extremely well in the market. Another leaked document reveals that Horizon Zero Dawn, we did kind of cover this yesterday, but we'll reiterate it here, is the best-selling port with over 3 million units sold, followed by God of War and Days Gone. As for the future unannounced ports, the document reveals none of them, although other files in this leak confirmed how there's already PC builds for Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. Given how easy it would be to get funding for PlayStation PC ports if they don't cost over $30 million, it is surprising how Bloodborne is still not getting ported, given the game's technical issues. However, it is likely did they say it was surprising, or it is surprising? Yeah. However, it is likely a port would be complicated and require much effort and funds to be pulled off. And so, yeah, I just thought that was a pretty interesting thing. So this might explain why we saw certain games. You know, we've seen certain games like I don't know, like I just think of like Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Like I don't know that anybody was really asking for that game on PC, but they were just like, here you go. Maybe it just costs literally like $2 or $3 million to hold on. I'm seeing people say damage control. What are you talking about? You're saying I don't know. I saw a couple of people saying I don't know if did I miss something? Um all right, let me go to all right, hold on, guys. I got just one last thing here. I'm over on Zubitech's Twitter because he's covering a new interview that came out and he's putting out quotes. So shout out to Zubitech. Sony Interactive Entertainment Senior Vice President, Head of Global Marketing, Eric Limpel, says, quote, the way we look at the market and when we talk about consumers, a lot of them are waiting for a specific game. That's the catalyst to make them jump into the next generation console, end quote. And then I gave you the quote about what he had to say about PlayStation VR 2. Another quote from Eric Limpel. He says, we've done some good promotions this year. I will say we've done fewer promotions at this stage of a life cycle than we ever have in the history of the company. I think we have the ability to get there. Demand for the PS5 going into this year was huge. Momentum is strong now, and it's continuing. Given the momentum we've had in November and a lot that we're seeing for December, just in general, we're feeling very good about sales overall. We are still pushing really hard, and I think we will have a record-breaking year no matter where we end up. Okay. Let me see if there's any other. Jim Ryan did also put out a statement for the 50 million units sold for PS5. Jim Ryan on the PlayStation 5 selling 50 million units. Quote, achieving this PS5 sales milestone is a testament to the unwavering support of the global PlayStation community and their passion for the incredible experiences created by the talented developers from PlayStation Studios and our partners. We're grateful for all of our players who have joined the PS5 journey so far. We're thrilled that this is the first holiday season since launch that we have a full supply of PS5 consoles, so anyone who wants one can get one. So there you go. That's what Jim Ryan had to say. Here we go. Liza P developer Round 8 Studio is happy with Xbox Game Pass results. Quote, a huge number of gamers have played our game through Xbox Game Pass. I believe both parties earned a very good result from this collaboration. And that's what, end quote, that's what the director to say. So there you go, man. Again, like we have to acknowledge that, translation, we were paid a lot of money for our game and a lot of people got to play it. So win-win, it's fair, man. That's what I'm saying. That is the biggest difference between what Sony and Microsoft are doing, where I don't think Sony would have paid that. Actually, it's not. I know Sony would not have paid whatever it cost to get Liza P on PlayStation Plus. And if anything, I could see Sony paying to try to make it exclusive. But yeah, definitely a big win for Xbox Game Pass users. Good for them. Good shit. Yeah, if you're on Game Pass, give Liza P a shot, man. It's really fucking good. Actually, hold on. This is pretty interesting. Somebody says, "Do you know how a publisher is paid when their game is played through Game Pass?" Shinobi says Xbox usually pays the developer publisher an amount that both parties agree to launch directly into Game Pass. The sum is different for each title depending how big they are, etc. Yeah, that's why I'm wondering, man. Like, dude, one of the things I'm discovering with Liza P as I'm playing it, it's a big game. Boss, don't you do it. Don't no. Oh, he did it. He fucking did it. Liza P is a big game, dude. Like bigger than I thought it would be. I think it was a $60 game too. So definitely, so far, I could tell you I'm about 30 hours in. Well worth the $60, man. So I don't know. I have to imagine Microsoft paid a pretty penny to get this game in there, and it makes me wonder, like, why? I wonder why they specifically chose Liza P. Maybe they were just open to it. Maybe that's the thing. Because I guess the devs have to be open to it as well. But definitely a good grab for them. And I'm really happy to see that the studio is finding success all around. I'm sure they found success on PlayStation with sales and PC, success from Game Pass. Good for them. Boss did what? He jumps on the corner of my desk, and it's like he does that thing that cats do where they have to calculate physics. And it's just super risky. Like, dude, please don't knock everything over. And he gets so close sometimes. I'm like, it's gonna happen one day. Just so you know, one day where I'm gonna be streaming and the stream's just gonna get knocked out. And remember, I'm telling you this because you won't have to ask why. Just know it's because of boss. 100% because of boss. He's probably. I give him? Yeah, I gave him snacks yesterday. I told you guys what I did. So, all right, guys. I think I got to check one last thing, and then I'm going to call this a stream. Details on restrictions and royalties between Marvel and Insomniac games. I'm going to read some of the comments. 35 to 50% from bundles is insane. Disney has master negotiators. Also, the large licensing cost explains why the Spider-Man games have made so little profit compared to the development costs. They don't have a Peter Parker can only sell drugs and kiss men when wearing the black suit restriction like the movies. I don't know. I'm not, I'll be honest, like my brain is a little burnt out. The Insomniac leak has a 2004 NPD report for some reason. Venom game in 2027. Hold on. What is going on here? $2025 makes way more sense just by going by the development presentation slides that were leaked yesterday. It's probably a Miles Morales type game that repurposes a lot of Venom's general playable framework from that mission in Spider-Man 2. It is also projected to be about 8 to 10 hours for the main story path. I also really doubt they're trying to leave only a year between this game and Spider-Man 3. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. All right. Well, that's it, guys. I do have. All right, so let me figure out where we are here. Caught up on all the super chats, got through all the topics today, had some good discussions. I do have a topic, at least one topic of discussion for tomorrow. Maybe we'll have more. Who knows what else will come out, but I do have a topic of discussion for tomorrow's stream. Friday, I should have I'm going to try my best to put out the weekly PlayStation recap video. And then I think, so we'll do another stream tomorrow. And I think after tomorrow's stream, the next stream will be a Christmas Eve stream. I have to do it earlier in the day, of course, but yeah, I did see that. Jason Blunder. Jason Blundell, yeah, I saw he joined PlayStation Studios apparently. I wonder what he's doing there. We don't know. We do not know. But guys, this is where I'm going to end this stream. I'm going to segue to my outro here. They're saying people are playing Wolverine on PC. Yikes. I hope that's not true. That's crazy. Why would you want to play this? I mean, I guess if that's even possible, I guess curiosity, but why? Why would you want to play that version? Yeah, I saw a playable build got leaked. That's dumb. Why would you even want to play that, you know? I understand maybe if you're really curious, but I don't get it. Do you think Wolverine day and date PC? I don't know. If I had to, no members lounge today. We'll be doing a members lounge tomorrow. Swizz242 with a $2 super chat saying you credit 343 releases Halo over Naughty Dog not releasing factions. Swizz, can you further elaborate with a regular chat? I appreciate the super chat, by the way. But could you kind of explain what you mean a little bit more thoroughly? I'm looking at the chat now, so if you say it, I'll read it because I'm not entirely sure. When do I think we will get a playable teaser of Abandon? 2026. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the year. It's gonna be the year for PlayStation, bro. Abandon's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. Wolverine's gonna come out. It's gonna be great. You're saying 343 release Halo with no roadmap over Factions 2. Are you trying to say that I should give 343 credit for releasing Halo? Yeah, I'm trying to. And Jake Skew 27 coming in here just to make shit even weirder at the end. Black Cat is a bisexual in the comics. Thank you for that, Jake Skew. Jake Skew answered the question that's been on my mind this entire stream. You're saying he means the contrary. For following through with Halo instead of canceling it. Oh, okay. What is happening? Okay. Well, yeah, no, I do give credit to 343 and Microsoft for sticking to it. Like, I think they fucked up big time, obviously, at the launch, and I think we all know that, but that's the thing, man, is but I don't what is the single player future of Halo looking like though? You know? I think it's a valid question to ask. But yeah, you got to give them the credit. I've been Halo fans have told me that like it's in the best place it's been in for a long time, and they're really enjoying Halo. So it's like, well, good for them, man. Antonio Lopes breaking Kotaku reporting Sony and pressuring. Oh, hold on. Come on. I'm tired, bro. I can't keep doing this. Let me see. Maybe this could be for tomorrow. What breaking news? What fresh hell is this? What the hacked files tell us about the studio behind Spider-Man 2? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little bit hesitant with Kotaku. Well, either way, this is where I'm going to end the stream, okay, guys? Antonio, I'll check out the I'm going to look into this article after the stream and I'll see if maybe it's worth talking about. See if there's anything in there that I missed or whatever. But guys, that's going to do it for the stream. I hope you did enjoy it. I think we had some good discussions. I want to make sure I give a big shout out to everybody who showed support today, whether you were watching the content or, if you're watching it later, thank you. But I also want to give a big special shout out to everybody who showed direct support. As I always say, I'm only able to do this because of your direct support. If you gifted memberships, if you became a member, or if you donated a super chat, thank you guys so much. You are allowing me to do this. You guys are powering and fueling the content and the channel. So I really cannot thank you enough. Also want to give a big shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps for the streams. He does a great job. If you see him in the comments, show him some love. Give him a thank you. I know he really appreciates it. And that's it. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it again. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. But I'm going to probably going to go get some food, honestly. I'm very hungry. And yeah, I'll check out this article. But I'll see you guys here again tomorrow. Same time, same place. I hope you'll join me. But until then, take care, everyone.